Are we live?
Yeah. Do I stop laughing now?
Yeah, you can keep
Eric
laughing.
and I just had a good
Well, I thought in 2024 we were gonna upgrade our streaming speed.
It is.
Okay, so there's not
kind of
as much
speed
of a
do you need?
delay.
I don't think so.
Did we crank that down?
I don't know. No. Yeah, I think we're live.
Yeah, we are live.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the Alfalfa podcast presented by ZBiotics, and welcome to 2024. We are Eric Johansson, Armand Asadi, Steven Cesaro. I'm Nick Urbani. Big Happy New Year to the chat. Thanks for everyone hopping in.
What's
First
good?
pod of the year. Got Brett in there, Jordan, Michael, Maddie.
Just want to
Adam
point
was
out
in there.
Adam Snyder, first comment of 2024.
Oh.
Hashtag blessed.
That's right. That's right. What do we got going on today? We're gonna go over some topics that came up in the group chat over the holidays. I think I like that as like a little agenda, and then we'll get into some 2024 predictions that we hope you don't look up in a year. All the links are at alfalfapod.com. Subscribe on all platforms, and if you're with us now or you're watching the YouTube, do us a favor, give it a like. I think it helps the algorithms.
Yeah.
And Steven, what are we drinking, sir?
We're drinking the Saint Bernardus.
Show yourself, sir.
It's tasty.
Yeah. There you go.
Did you say tripel or triple?
I'm not going to help you with that one.
I don't know. I don't speak. Is this Belgian?
How
Not
did
gonna
you
help
arrive
you.
at this
Not-
selection?
Do
Not
they
going to
speak
help
French?
you because I can't help you. Well, if you're American, you'd just say triple, probably.
I arrived at this selection because I parked illegally going into the beer store, and then I looked out the window and saw a parking guy like making his way down the street, and so I panic bought this, which I like.
It's good.
It's good. It's a great beer, a fantastic beer.
Oh, the San Bernardus line is amazing.
It's tasty.
All of them
It's
are
an
amazing.
it's
The
an
white
insane
one, the
beer.
red one, the green one, they're all amazing. Yeah.
Steven, can you tell us what's on your shirt?
Yeah, people are noticing.
Sorry,
your
I'm getting distracted. The
shirt.
chat's already distracted.
Oh, it says blockchains.
Oh, okay. I
Did
couldn't
Amber
see
get
the
that
O.
for you? That's a pretty good gift if she did.
No, I got it for myself.
Was that an Instagram purchase?
You got targeted.
Yeah, I got targeted hard.
You totally did. Which platform was it?
Instagram, obviously.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You guys are still on that? Still detoxing.
I don't. I just once in a while I go on and then like I lose like an hour and I'm like, wait.
Yeah,
why
and
am I
now they
here?
have the built-in like shopping function, so you're totally screwed.
I don't log in that thing anymore.
Yeah, neither.
As soon as I open the app, just women, boobs, everything. And I'm like, this is a fucking trap.
Porn, dude.
Yeah. I'm
it
out
really
of here.
is.
My feed is just like corgis.
I reset my feed though. Like it worked.
Mine's
got-
actually
I
mostly
got rid of all the women.
Muay Thai and art.
Wait, how
but
do you reset the feed?
Literally unfollow everything and stop engaging with anything. Don't even look at anything that you don't want to show up. And then when it comes to your Explorer, you can't click on anything that has boobs.
So you see a butt
So then-
scroll by and you just keep
Scroll
on
by.
scrolling.
So like I clicked on enough like soccer stuff and what's the other theme I
Sounds
have?
like a cover up, boys.
Clicked on enough soccer stuff that it eventually cleaned itself up.
You guys jerk off to some weird things.
Eric still thinks it's porn apps.
It's a porn app.
I don't masturbate to the corgis. I just watch them do cute stuff.
Oh God.
Well,
Let's move on from
Oh,
that.
I need a buffer between that line and when
That
we go into our
line.
sponsor. So say something else.
Let's wait it out a little bit. Actually, Nick, it's a little too close.
Too close.
Yeah. So, why do blockchains matter, Steven?
Oh, I just let the shirt be.
No, I kind
Just,
of
it's,
care.
just,
Like,
it's just a shirt.
do blockchains matter?
Do all databases matter?
No.
Oh, Jordan call you DEI king of Alfalfa for that shirt.
I love DEI.
Did you guys see
Huge fan.
the X post on DEI by? I just dropped it in the what's his name? The VC guy. You guys haven't seen it, huh?
No.
Okay.
Is
Well,
DEI
it's making
dead?
the rounds. It's making the rounds.
Gone?
Well, a lot of people are saying that it is in and of it. Bill Ackman. That it is.
was gonna say Bill Ackman, but I was like, he's not a
inherently
VC
racist.
guy.
It
That
is.
DEI is inherently racist, and there's a really good discussion happening on the old X right now about this. So, thought it was relevant to your blockchains mattering discussion. You should check it out.
Yeah.
I
All right.
posted it in the politics channel for people that have the patience for that kind of thing.
Oh, the politics channel.
Yeah.
Hasn't been the same since Marty left.
Well,
It's a quieter place.
I miss him.
I know.
Shout out to Marty.
All right, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, ZBiotics. The URL zbiotics.com/alfalfa. I hope you guys bought some ZBiotics before New Year's. Did you take some before your New Year's celebration? I think you were up the latest.
I was up the latest, but
Wait, was this gentleman here, Steven, with you?
he was there for a lot of it. Yeah.
I was there for a lot of it. I left at like 3:30 in the morning.
Oh, we kept it going.
Dude, what? That's a
Jeez.
party.
We kept it going.
You were up that late?
Animals.
Yeah.
Damn, buddy.
I realized that Mina is incredibly competitive
With partying?
Oh, we played some games.
with games.
Like literally competitive.
yeah, like
Yeah.
might have a knife like up her sock, kind of competitive.
I like that.
I got yelled at.
Okay. What games did you play?
We were playing some card games, like kind of like Cards Against Humanity varietals.
One of them wasn't a game. It was just a strange experience. Like it was kind of like Cards Against Humanity, and you give the card you vote on who the card is, right? It'll be like has definitely accidentally slept with a dude, right? And then
and everybody just votes.
Adrian.
But really, it's just like you get a card and you're just like Armand. So the game is basically just people being like, oh, you're
Judging each other.
Yeah,
Pretty fun.
but it's not really like a game. It's just like, and you're a whore.
Okay. Sounds fun.
And then we played Family Feud after, which
Yeah.
was
Always a good time.
Family Feud is underrated. I feel like
Awesome.
it's a good game.
Eric's a good party host. Eric and Mina, I should say.
Yeah.
Mina puts in a lot of
Mina.
dedication.
Mina does a lot of
Where
work.
were
and-
you, bro?
Yeah. I was out of town. Good sir.
Out of town.
I was with family. Sacktown, 916.
Sacktown.
Yeah.
Whenever people say Sacktown, I just think like balls.
Well, we do have big balls.
What do we got there?
I heard the
Jimmy?
noise.
That.
Should be in the like feed of Streamlabs.
What's up, Cam? How are you?
What up, Cam? All right. While Jimmy's looking that up, can I finish the goddamn read?
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Wait, does anybody want more beer before I keep drinking beer?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I have to ration this,
I just filled up a little bit.
like the water on the mountain.
Pour yourself.
All right. So again, zbiotics.com/alfalfa is the code. Use it, get 15% off. ZBiotics is that pre-alcohol probiotic drink we've been drinking. World's first genetically engineered probiotic, invented by PhD scientists to tackle those rough mornings after drinking. Again, you can check out the interview we did with Zach Abbott, the CEO, if you are digging the
Great
science.
interview.
So when you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct called acetaldehyde. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that makes you feel like shit in the morning. So ZBiotics produces an enzyme that breaks that down. So anyway, if you didn't use it for New Year's, use the code Alfalfa to get a discount and use it to kick off 2024 right. If you have New Year's resolutions, it'll help you stay on track, especially with those health goals. And that's it.
So that's how we got there. Now I see what happened.
Yeah, guys,
You mentioned
focus.
New Year's.
I'm infuriated.
That's good. That means I'm very present right now.
You-
Very in the flow.
Yeah.
I'm in it.
We also had Christmas while we were gone.
I'm very excited for this episode. Can I just say that?
I am.
Super duper excited.
I know you've been telling me all day,
All day, all,
all
week.
day, all week.
week.
Better be good.
Bring the ruckus, baby.
How was your Christmas? I didn't even ask you.
Thanks,
we have to backtrack.
Yeah, I mean, it is a true story. I was in Sacramento with family. We were up there for 10 days with family, which was great because we had extra hands to just help out with the baby. Baby got to be with family. We got to be with family. It was awesome. So yeah, we were up there for quite a while and made a good little trip out of it and flew back on New Year's Day, which was great, actually. It was a pretty quiet day at the airport and had a good relaxing day. Went to a new Italian restaurant in San Diego that's super highly rated.
Wait, which one?
Venarius. Highly recommend.
Oh, in Little Italy.
Yeah.
That's
Highly
not new.
recommend. Newish.
It's newish.
How was your Christmas, Steven? I didn't get a
It's
chance
good.
to ask
I'm
you.
a big fan of that place. It was decent. I went to North Carolina to my sister's. So, yeah, super low key, just kind of in the woods. She's got two small kiddos. They're very tiny. I think they're like 1 and 2, basically.
Is
So,
Christmas your favorite holiday? How's it rank up there?
it used to be my favorite holiday. It's still close to my favorite holiday. I don't know. I've been trying to think like if it's still my favorite. It might still be my
MLK
favorite.
for you.
I like yes. Yes. Huge fan. But yeah, I don't like the Christmas holiday as much as I used to, but like Christmas season, just the whole thing is still my favorite.
You introduced me to seasonal cocktails like
I'm
a few years ago.
I'm a
You're like,
big
let's go
seasonal
get
cocktail
seasonal
guy.
cocktails, and it sounded fancy.
It's amazing.
I
I
enjoy
ingest so much sugar during the Christmas season because not just the cookies, but like I go out, like every night I go out and I have like some like eggnog
Peppermint.
cocktail. Yeah, just like 900 calories a cocktail, just surrounded by Christmas lights in the bar. I like to go to all the bars that do all the decor where it looks like Christmas threw up. It's
Yeah.
amazing, but not as good as it was as a kid.
Wait,
Well,
what is your favorite holiday? Did you say?
Yeah, I want a deep dive on holiday here, but if it wasn't Christmas, what is it?
Yeah.
4th of July.
My favorite actual holiday like that day is 4th of July.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
That's
It's
a great
amazing.
I like the fireworks and
Yeah.
the
Summer.
grilling and it's summer and the America
one. The freedom.
Barbecue.
freedom.
The
Yeah,
freedom part.
It's
It's
great. Like I'm a huge fan.
That's up there. Yeah.
And it's one of those holidays that stayed consistently good for my whole life. Like it was awesome when I was a kid. We used to have this epic, cookout on the swamp. And then in college, you just sort of turned into like you're just a drinking thing. And then you're an adult, and I guess it's still kind of a drinking thing, but you do slightly more adult things. Like,
What about Thanksgiving?
that's my favorite.
Full gluttony.
My favorite.
again, like I used to like Thanksgiving more when I was a kid, and like had like the big Italian one where we had like 4 tables just completely full of everybody and 900 dishes, and it was just like a huge party. And now it's like it's still cool, but it's like it's like Christmas where it's like, oh man, this is like a reminder of like how my life used to be like a lot more
How-
You guys
how
full of.
You guys experience this like when the children are in ages
Nick,
like
do you accept any holidays?
I do, except all. Not at our workplace.
celebrate holidays?
We don't allow any of those.
That's what I thought.
But do you personally? Jimmy's
Actually,
like-
is there a lawyer? Am I gonna get in trouble for that? There was like, so are we off tomorrow? I'm like, well, I'll be working.
Just stare at 'em.
I think
Never
it's,
bring
it's a no answer. That's the best answer. It's your best way of saying, "I'll
Right.
see you tomorrow."
Yeah. Well, we'll be working.
Yeah.
But sure, go ahead.
Do you have a favorite?
Well, I was just thinking like Thanksgiving and Christmas when the kids are like, grade school or even high school. That's like for me was like peak family, like the number of family members at these holidays, because the grandparents were still around, and if the grandparents are there, then all the kids are going to be there, all the parents are going to be there. Then you have like cousins and children, and that's when they're the most fun. But like as I've gotten older, grandparents aren't there anymore. People kind of go off into their own cruise without the elders there to bring everyone together. So it's kind of like fallen off in terms of how many people are there, but it's still a great time.
I think it's a reason to like make a big family of your own.
Yeah, we
for these
my
things.
fiance and I were talking about this. Like, she's like, "How many kids do you want?" I was like, 2, maybe 3. Depends how much they cost. But she was like, "Well, you kind of need 3 because to have a big family outings, to have down the road, and 3 possibilities of at least one of those being caring enough to take care of you in your older age."
Do you ever think it'd be fun to just have like 6?
I
Just
do.
go all
Yes.
out, just move out and kind of the woods or something. And
Yeah.
just field like a whole softball team.
I think that trend's coming back.
it is coming
6.
back, and on Twitter anyway. You've got this like the resurgence of all like there's all these like little trad accounts, and they're just
Build your body, build a house
just
yourself,
post
have
pictures
7
of
children.
like man next to woman, like hot woman with her baby holding like 7 other kids, and they're like, this is the life you want.
The
And-
dad's like a Huberman dad.
yeah.
Jimmy, can you cue up this New Year's Eve video whenever you get a chance? I don't know which one of you guys sent this in the chat. Was it you, Armand?
That was me.
Yeah, it was in the group chat. And this was, speaking of holidays, this is New Year's Eve holiday.
We're
And,
sharing the screen right now.
Camera 3.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so if you're watching this, basically, I don't know where this is. Is this in France? Where is this?
I don't know, but
Is
can I
that
tell you
the
how it made
Arc
me feel?
Did
That looks like
Triomphe.
the Chambellan-Élysées.
Yeah, and basically, you're
Azure, the Chambellan-Élysées.
you're looking at like, I don't know,
Every French listener is going to just slap me right now.
50,000 people looking at the equivalent of the ball drop here, and all of them, not a single person is without their phones. All of them have their phones up, and no one is just sitting there enjoying the moment. I don't know if you guys remember, there was like a golf tournament like a year ago, and Tiger Woods is teeing off, and everyone's got their phones out there, and there's this guy holding, I forget which beer company it was. It was
that guy
it was
was
like
awesome.
a Michelob Light or something, and he's just sitting there, no phone, just sitting there enjoying it, watching Tiger Woods tee off. And then the beer company eventually gave him a sponsorship for it.
Like, yeah, this is the highlight.
Only
sir.
guy without the phone. So I don't know. It gave me a little cringe. It gave me a little sadness
That's
about
funny.
humanity.
I saw the video and I was like, ooh, it's cool. Like that was my initial thing. I was like, ooh, that's like kind of a cool video. But then I like learned from the context of the comments on Twitter that I was supposed to be very upset about it.
You're supposed to be.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, all right, I guess.
That's a contrarian take right there.
Does that ever happen to you though, where you like see something on Twitter and you don't really read the stuff and you have a reaction to it, but then you realize the person tweeted it for the opposite
You're like,
reaction that you
oh,
had?
shit, apparently I'm a racist.
Yes, yes, but how can you not have a vomit reaction to that video? Like, were you
Many ways.
just looking at the fireworks and you didn't see the 3,000 people with their phones out, like looking through their phones at the event of New Year's Eve? I know you saw that.
What if, I mean, sometimes I record and I have it like up and I look at it and I'm just like this.
Okay,
And I'm like
how
still
about,
recording it, but I'm in the moment.
okay, how about this?
I actually don't record stuff a lot,
that itself spurs a discussion. But
So I think what I was sort of perturbed by was not the phones. It's the fact that you're missing this other thing, like where you could be like hugging each other, high-fiving randoms, kissing your
Dude,
spouse. Like that's like
it.
what happens on New Year's.
that's exactly
Celebrating
what that video
one
showed.
more year around the sun that we're all in this beautiful existence together, and instead it's just,
Dude.
I'll remember this.
When do you
Dude.
often go back and look at your
Hey,
fucking
nobody
videos
does.
of this?
Nobody
No
does.
one.
There's multiple dimensions to this that are just wrong and fucked up about that video. But the deepest part is what Eric just said. The fact that not a single person turns to the person next to them to hug them and kiss them and say Happy New Year at the moment that the New Year occurred, and instead was so infatuated by, I have the opportunity to save a piece of content that nobody will see, even if you would argue that it's for yourself. You could literally just go anywhere and find that exact same video by 3,000 other people. Like, you don't
'Cause a better-
actually
yeah.
need the video.
Because a better memory is actually remembering that you hugged all these people around
Yes,
you,
yes.
rather than just seeing fireworks for the 100th time.
So on this topic, the pendulum seems to not have begun to. We haven't peaked.
Yeah.
We still haven't peaked.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, when are we going to peak where this obsession with the Black Mirror actually begins to fade? Because we're still in a mode where, like, New Year's Eve, Paris, every single person is looking at reality through their phone. Will we
aren't
turn?
you-
Is that a pendulum at all in the 1st
Aren't
place?
aren't you like prejudging this as like bad? Like, why is what you're
I
saying
am
not like
judging
old
it
man
as
yells at
bad.
cloud meme?
I am not judging it. I am judging. Yes, personally, I think it's bad. But I am putting it on a plane where there's a spectrum and it's going to swing the opposite direction. That's the area that I'm not sure. Is this just going to continuously progress and get worse? Or will there be this like trad movement toward like pulling away from
Towards
devices?
like real experience.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think we all live in the metaverse in like
So
10 years.
what I was
Yeah.
thinking,
It just keeps becoming more and more of a.
I think you and I agree on this, but what I was thinking was like, where's the Goldilocks zone? Because like, you know, getting some memory is like on your phone, that because like my memory is not always great. So like when I get a memory from my phone, and often my phone will like remind me, you know, I'd be like, hey, did you know that 5 years ago on this day, this happened? I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, I remember that. Cool. So I actually like having some content on the phone, but I also, you know, want to live in the moment. So what's the Goldilocks zone? Because you can capture some stuff and also live in the moment too, right?
Yeah, you do it after
Yeah.
the moment, like, you know, 12:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I just think
Take
you
some pictures with
prioritize.
friends.
You prioritize the present moment. You prioritize the physical reality
My-
as much as you can.
My fiance does this great thing where when we do a trip, she takes her camera, like a film camera or her fancy camera, or even just her phone. And when she gets back, she edits all of them and puts them in like a physical book. It's like, I think I mentioned our Japan trip earlier this year. It's a physical book on our like coffee table. And she's currently putting together like the Bhutan Nepal, Thailand one, and it'll be a book with like 40, 50 pictures of it. And the plan is just like keep stacking them up.
Print the pictures, put them in the book,
No,
or
no,
you
like
do
you
printed
can,
books?
You print the books.
That's what we do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do that too?
Oh, we've been doing it since we met.
Oh, that's
But
awesome.
you still got to take the photos, and you probably want the photo of the firework going on. I mean,
Yeah, any photos you have, you just integrate into the album. Like it's like
Our mom wants to
modern
enjoy
version.
the moment while wifey just documents it. On
yeah. Hey, you got that right. As you're like high fiving
Somebody
a bunch of
has it though.
randoms.
Somebody has it, and you don't need that moment. Like that moment.
All right.
I would turn the camera towards us as we enjoy the moment. Like towards my spouse and I. I think that's probably a better way to do it.
I just worry about the fact that like I think it's probably true that we're already in the metaverse, like metaphorically at least. Depends how you define the metaverse. If you would define it as, what we were discussing offline, it's like it's basically that we're already in it.
I mean, I was sort of thinking about this a few days ago because I made the mistake of helping my dad set up a brokerage account.
This
Oh,
is
yeah.
a great story.
And
Good.
it was just like I almost just hurled myself out the window just onto the street below.
Well, you didn't do the screen share, first of all. That's your first problem.
Oh yeah, like my dad can do a screen share.
FaceTime?
My dad doesn't have a cell phone.
Oh.
Like, screw-
Yeah, this is
Wow.
walking out.
yeah, you guys are gonna take like 20
Well, that's
steps
next
back.
level. Yeah.
No, like an hour into the brokerage sign up process, I was like, wait a minute, just we were setting up like a joint account. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to set it up on my end and just get your info and then I'll do the whole thing. Cause he's like, so I did the whole thing in like 3 minutes.
He wasn't at the
After-
family gathering.
No, I didn't make it to Rhode Island because they
Yeah.
took us off the plane and I couldn't fly home. And that's another story. But anyway, we're setting up this brokerage account and then we get to the part where you have to like connect your bank account and he's just like, just incensed that he would have to like type in his like bank account number on the internet and then like it's not the best part is like they're asking for the questions to remember your password,
Security
like,
questions, yeah.
So one of the questions is what hospital was your first child born in? I'm the first child. And he gets it and he's like, oh God. And I'm just like, what? He's just like, I'm not gonna remember. Like, hold on, I have to go get a notepad.
Dude.
He goes and gets.
What if you're not the first child?
No, I am the first child.
What if you're not?
Stop it. But he leaves. He has to get a notepad to write down the answer to the question. And like, I was born at a women and infants hospital, right? And then what he wrote down was W&I.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, that's why like you have to write because you've written it, and then it didn't take it because it didn't allow special characters, and then he goes into a rant. Anyway, the point of this is that at every 2 minutes, this took like 2 hours because he went into some rant about technology at every step of the way. Like, I gotta confirm a phone number. Oh my God, I have to put in my bed. I have to do this. Oh my, and I was just like, wait a minute, like. Is this like me sometimes? Like, am I like my dad is like old man yells at cloud, right? But then I was like, am I old man yells at cloud sometime? And where is it correct to be like this? And where like when is it okay to be like, hey kids, you're doing something dumb and that's not cool? Versus like you just don't get it, man, and you're just the boomer. You're like, are you a boomer with the cell phones and getting
The
mad
way
at
I
people
take it-
taking videos?
I don't know. I think the way I take it is that, like onboarding is hard in TradFi the same way it is in crypto. And we like give a lot of fucking shit to crypto and its user experience. But like TradFi is not that easy either, as you just witnessed. So it's like, it's all kind of ripe for
It's
disruption.
not easy to somebody who's barely
Yeah.
adopted the internet. Yeah.
Yeah, you're asking the right question. Because depending on the perspective of the individual judging, you're on one side of that spectrum or somewhere in the middle, right? And then you yourself personally have to decide, like, how much are you going to integrate technology and like new language even into your life before you're viewed as like a boomer? And how much do you embrace being a boomer and conservative versus like being progressive? And that is like the question that will define your character for the rest of your life, based on like how people view you. So that's the question.
Is that this is just like a political question?
It's not a political question. I think it's a question about like how integrated you want to be with what faction of society.
Like,
That's the
why
question.
do you decide? Why do you in your head decide that like taking all the videos is bad and this is not a good thing, and I'm gonna kind of sort of rail against this versus
That's
other stuff?
There's a bigger leap there from that discussion to the one I think you illuminated, like something interesting that is like that'd be more worthy of like something more philosophical. But my rant about that is just purely like I just find it disgusting that people can't look around at each other and just connect. Because it's a lack of human connection. That's all it was.
But it's your perception
It's
of the
not
way the
replaced
world
by-
should be,
No,
and you
it's
don't
not.
like what the kids are doing.
It's not. It's objectively a lack of human connection. You
But so-
don't get no.
But we've
discussed
that's
that.
what people said
No,
to me. That's what my
we've
mom used to say
discussed
to me
that.
about cell phones.
No,
She's like,
no, no.
it's a
Hold on.
lack of human connection.
No.
I just want to see
You're arguing
your
against
face.
yourself. You have brought
just wanna
stats to
talk
this
to you.
podcast multiple times that have proven and shown how disconnected and fragmented and lonely people, and especially young people, are. And that's what's going to continue happening if they view their lives through the Black Mirror, through the cell phone. If they don't stop and put that thing away, which is, I think it's changing.
Whoa.
But I thought we peaked already.
What if you're getting the correlation and the causation backwards? Like you're implying that this is causing it. What if it was like that and it was totally fucked to begin with? And this is a thing that lets people like come together more than they otherwise would have been able to, that they can
If they
connect
were
online
going to come
and all
together
this
more, it
stuff.
would have happened 10 years ago through Facebook. It hasn't happened. People are more separate. People feel less together. You can connect with someone virtually and feel like you're completely alone in this reality. It's common, like it's common at this
I'll
point.
be honest. I feel alone when we do a virtual podcast.
I hate the Zoom pods for what it's worth. But
All right.
this would be a very good discussion, Stephen. We should
I'm going to
revisit.
move us along.
Yeah, please
So what
do.
else came up in the group chat? There was an Arnold book. Real quick, you want to
Yeah.
cover that?
Yeah, I'll mention that really quick. If you guys have a reaction to it, I'd love to hear it. But like, so Arnold has a new book. Let me grab it for you so I don't butcher the title. I highly recommend it. It's called "Be Useful: 7 Tools for Life."
Can you do it
I'm,
in the?
I'm
I did-
listening to him.
didn't even crack my top 5,000 titles for that book.
Hold on, let me see if I can.
You got to
play
do
you a little
some
sample.
part of this.
I should talk to this journalist that said, but most of the guys wanted to have no part of that. They said, all of this writers
What do
and
you-
reporters.
You're too fast.
Hold on,
You're
I'm
too
on
fast.
1.5
like
right
No,
now.
you have to
17
do the accent. You're known for the Arnold
We'll
accent.
see if it comes out. But so here's my take on the book. Like, I have read a lot of personal development in my life. I would say it's like of all my favorite topics, it's one of them. I like the classics of philosophy. I love science books, cosmology, physics, that type of stuff. But personal development's like top 5 genres that I really pay attention to. And I've read them all. Like we've talked about like Think and Grow Rich, Tony Robbins, a lot of these like great gurus over time. What I admire so much, but first of all, the book itself from a content perspective is so like uniquely motivating because you're viewing reality through his lens. So the unique thing that like a true practitioner like Arnold provides when he writes a book is that you get to tap into exactly what worked for him. So it's all completely anecdotal, right? Like when you listen to one person, it's all anecdotal evidence, but they're telling you like, based on my wisdom, based on my understanding, based on my experience, this is what worked for me. And his stories are fucking phenomenal. I mean, Arnold is one of the most incredible stories of a human being ever. You know, this guy grew up like in a small town in Austria and just had a dream, just saw some magazines and had a dream about America and a vision for himself. And he dedicates the first chapter to just like how to build that vision, why the vision is important, so on and so forth. And he just continues to build on it. What I love about this compared to like, so there's 2 types of personal development I've noticed as I was reading this book. The personal development that is winning in the modern era, I've noticed, is personal development from a unique individual practitioner's perspective who absolutely crushes it at life, like David Goggins, like Jocko. These are people who've like done it, and people want to know from their perspective. They want to get into the mind and the psyche of that person. Matthew McConaughey, right? Phenomenal actor. People, that book sold like crazy.
That was a good book.
These memoirs, these books from people like them are selling like crazy. Whereas there is a need and a value for this other type of person, the person that I would call the sort of aggregator of knowledge. Tony Robbins, who I've been to his events, went to a couple with Nick, is an aggregator of knowledge. Everything that he's selling you is not stuff he's done. It's stuff that he's teaching you that other people have done that make him money. Napoleon Hill in the 1920s and 30s, it took him multiple, years, like I think over a decade to interview the most successful people in the world to then go on to eventually achieve his dream of writing Think and Grow Rich, which became one of the top best-selling nonfiction books of all time, if not the best-selling, I believe.
It's a GOAT book.
I mean, I think it's like the Bible and then like Think and Grow Rich.
That's
right?
my number
written
one.
in the 1920s.
It was written in like 1930 to like right after the Great Depression.
I had no idea.
So these are aggregators. These are teachers. And sometimes people say if you can't do teach, like what's that famous quote? Is that the
Those
quote?
who can't do teach.
Those who can't do teach. I think that's like a really rude way of putting down someone who's providing tremendous value to the world. Like
Yeah.
tremendous.
Just putting down, like when you can't teach, that's what you say.
It's basically like saying like if I can't teach, I'll be a critic. Like
Those
being
that
a
can't
critic.
teach do.
Yeah, like these pessimists. Yeah, thanks, Edmund. 1937 was the year that book came out.
Damn.
And like there is tremendous value in that too, but these individual takes of life where you get to walk through detailed accounts of what worked and why it worked is so goddamn inspiring. I am listening to this book on a daily basis. I could see myself listening. Like the Arnold book for me is a new, in the last 5 years, favorite personal development book for sure for me. And I think it's also because I have the disposition toward Arnold. I grew up being inspired by him and watching Pumping Iron on repeat and just generally loving the guy.
You're a massive fan.
I'm generally, a fan of the guy. And people, one thing is like, if you didn't like his comments and things like that in the last 5 years, I know a lot of people were like, Arnold said this, Arnold said that. I would challenge you to just like take a look at yourself in the mirror and just ask yourself, like, are you sure you're not just like falling into that sort of polarized world of like, this person didn't repeat my beliefs. Just be a little careful there and look at it as like, look at his true story. Look at like how far he came and don't discount everything he's done just because he made one comment about COVID that you didn't like or whatever.
But he's
like,
the narrator on the audiobook?
Yeah.
All right, for that fact, I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm back
that's
in.
a
It's so
huge
good.
component.
Wait, what's in the? I feel like I'm like in 7. I'm just like, what's in the book? What's in the book?
It's a journey of his life. I'll give you
Give
a
me
quick,
a tidbit. Give me a tidbit.
Give us some alfalfa.
Give me some juice, man.
I don't know. I mean, he talks about, Arnold documentary. If you don't want to read a book or listen to a book, I would also recommend the Arnold Netflix documentary. That was phenomenal. That came out right around the time the book came out. And that was super, super inspiring as well. Arnold's life has 3 chapters, right? It was become the greatest bodybuilder of all time, become a movie star, an action hero movie star, and define an entire new hero role and genre. I mean, I don't think we realize how big that was. Like Bruce Willis wouldn't exist. Like none of these guys would exist. Vin Diesel wouldn't exist if it weren't for Arnold. Like Arnold created.
What if Vin Diesel would have created the genre and Arnold robbed him of that?
You don't. And then third era is, give back through politics. And he probably would have
And he was
become
a
the
super
president.
successful entrepreneur, a real estate entrepreneur.
Yeah, before he ever became a bodybuilder. So those are the 3 phases. He talks about why. He talks about the journey. I think it's worth, if you like personal development and a little inspiration.
Would you enjoy the book as much if you just had to read it and envision his voice in your head? Like, is it the audio that's really just
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes.
Just hours
It is all about the audio.
The audio is key. The audio is key. And
Yes.
I listened to Matthew McConaughey's audiobook, and the fact that it's him reading his own writing changes everything.
I have to say, like, I don't know if these words are in the book. I assume they're not, because Arnold has little moments where he like adds a little something. It feels like, and he'll be like, and if you think I don't care, shut the fuck up. Like he'll have like this really direct, like get off your lazy ass, like kind of talk in the
There it
book.
is.
So,
All right, I'm satisfied with
yeah.
this topic now. I was just waiting for you to do that.
It'd be really funny if the book was just like narrated by like James Earl Jones instead. It's like, so confusing.
All right, before we move on to the next topic, shout out to Edmund there. Gave us $69.
Oh my
and he
God.
quoted pump my damn Cosmo L2 and Soul bags. And that'll be Steven's responsibility when we get to the crypto 2024
Is
predictions.
that my responsibility to?
Well, I'm just saying it's
Pump
now
your
placed
heavy
upon your
ass
shoulders.
bags?
You can decide to take it up
My
or
God.
leave it.
Thank you, Edmund. Edmund, send me your address. I'm gonna send you a copy of the Arnold book.
Fuck
I
yeah.
think you're gonna fucking love it.
Okay, we got a few more things that came up in the group chat. I want to get to a few of these quickly. So let's do airport pickups. You want to do that one? So Jimmy, can you cue that?
I'm gonna
cue
just.
that
I'm
link
gonna
up?
give a brief setup of this one, then
Yeah,
you guys
you-
tackle
no,
it.
you give
I'm
it
gonna come
queued
in
up.
at the end. I'm gonna give you the beginning.
Wait,
I'll
there's
come
a
in at the
whole
end.
Wall Street Journal
Okay,
thing on this.
Steven, I want your take
Wow.
on this first, and then you guys duke it out. So there's a huge narrative, especially in the United States. I want to preface that this is very, very centralized. Like this is a very American issue, right? And that's going to tie into my take later. So the Wall Street Journal piece is no one should pick you up at the airport.
Spicy.
And it is spicy. And this question of like asking a friend to pick you up at the airport, this person believes is a fundamentally bad request. And then there's a counter argument that talks about why, in fact, this should be the case, that you always do ask. And my question to you guys is, give me both sides of this. Like, there's really not much more to add. It's just, should you ask people?
Do you? Yeah, do you?
No,
Do you
this is
ask?
ridiculous. You're an adult. You can find your way home.
I love this.
Like you are an adult. There's been
find
a
your
whole
way home.
system of technology set up so that it's 3 clicks to get you where you need to go. To ask a friend, like I live close to the airport. If someone asks me, I'm happy to go. I don't think you should ask, but I think you should go pick up people. I always pick up my mom from the airport. I pick up my fiance from the airport. If there's a friend in town, I'll pick them up. But
So you
know,
believe in an etiquette, in this etiquette where you say I'll take an Uber, but you deny them that. You say no, I'll pick you up. You just
Yeah,
want the,
I'll pick them up
you
because
just
I
want-
live so close to the airport.
You just
But-
want the etiquette to be like no, don't pick me up.
Yeah,
but then you do.
But if it's me, it's like how ridiculous would I feel? And it depends on what city you live in. You live in a city like New York, absolutely insane request. Like no one picks you up
so
at the
I'm
airport. in New
picturing
York.
this Wall Street Journal writer lives in a big city like New York.
Right.
We lived in San Francisco at the same time.
Also ridiculous to ask
We lived
for.
together for a time, and under no circumstance would I pick anybody up in San Francisco because I didn't have I couldn't even park my car in the city. Like, so there's no way. But now I have a fucking house with a garage and a driveway, and like I will pick up anybody anytime. Like,
But would you
Let's
ask
focus
for?
the conversation on like you don't live in that situation. You're a normal person. Which,
normal
by the way, is
person-
going to be 95% of anybody watching or listening, and that exists in reality. Like, yes, there is a concentration of people that live in cities, of course, but most people don't live in New York, San Francisco, heart of LA, heart of Miami. Most people live in a city, in the suburb of that city, or in the complete suburbs.
So I always pick
So-
up, and I ask to be picked up, unless it's like at an unreasonable hour. Like if I land at like 11:30 p.m., then I'm
When you say you ask, like you're
So
visiting
selfish.
a friend,
so like
you're visiting family, you're visiting.
like using the situation that you just described, where it's like I'm flying into a place where the person who I'm visiting has a car that's parked in their garage, and they're
Yeah,
like
you're
awaiting
visiting
my
somewhere.
arrival, and I'm like, hey, so I land at this time. I don't ask, but they're like, cool, I'll pick you up at this. I'll pick you up. Do you have luggage? I'm happy to accept.
When our buddy
Wait,
David
wait.
Hoffman came in town, we all offer our homes, but no one offered to pick him up at the airport.
That's a good point.
Like,
But he lands at 11 p.m. We're out.
If
drinking.
you're
Well,
an
you guys were
if you're an
recording a
adult
podcast.
male, you never ask to be picked up from the airport.
I knew this was going to happen. My boy right here.
Well, hold on.
212.
But you should always offer to pick somebody up from the airport.
I have a wife. What do you? I can't even ask. Like, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah, I wouldn't ask. I would like take an.
I don't ask.
I take Uber, and when
well, I guess
it's
she
offered
asked
to me, it's
I don't know. It's like it just seems very weird to not even have this dynamic. Like, you know, talk to her.
the
Like-
rules the rules are different for you
a grown-ass
versus
man.
like you a grown ass man versus like an 89-year-old woman. Like they're obviously different rules, right? And there's different rules between asking and offering. Like you should always be offering. I think
All right.
when
But-
somebody comes in who's like
But
important.
should they, like, is it okay? I agree with this, like, because that's like a Persian thing, right? You don't ask.
Tarof.
You offer.
Yeah.
You're waiting. Like, if the offer happens, then that's the kind gesture of hospitality. The kind gesture of hospitality arrives. You say, "No, thank you. I'm okay." You don't say no, thank you. You just say like, "No, don't
I can
worry
Uber.
about it.
Don't worry about it."
Don't
And
worry
then they
about
go,
it. I'll Uber."
please, please.
So
and
then
then
what
you
you're
go,
looking
no.
for in my culture is for the person to say, "No, I insist. Of course I'm coming to pick you up. You're visiting my town." So then usually 2, if not 3 times, they have to do that.
This is amazing.
For you to
So
give in.
all of the women of planet Earth have basically adopted Persian culture. This is like a classic female technique, right? They say something, and if it's not just enough that you sort of directly answer. Like there's like a second poke. There's like a retest, and then like a retest. Sometimes like 3 or 4 retests.
The test
and then
goes
you have to-
lifetime, brother.
Saying
Yeah.
If the conversation is should you ask or not ask, I would agree that you don't necessarily need to ask. If you're surrounded by people that are aware enough and
it's-
emotionally intelligent enough to offer,
It's
they're
not an
going to
ask.
offer. It's not an ask.
You never ask.
You never ask. Like, I don't think that's what Eric and I are saying. You don't ask.
But is
that's just awkward.
what did the guy in the article say? Like, what is like the point of contention? Like,
I don't really
should
care
you-
about the article. I never do. But like my point is, like, I think here's what's missing in society, in America in particular. Like, one of the things that came up again in our Discord recently is we were talking about sauna culture in one of the channels in the life channel, and how
Talking about
there's
what?
a lack sauna
culture.
sauna culture.
Oh.
Hot saunas. We were
You-
talking
you would
about
be a part
the
of that, wouldn't
lack
you?
of etiquette in America. It was a great conversation.
Oh, I disagree
Bread.
with your take so much here already.
Oh God. Wait, with the
what?
sauna take?
Your sauna take.
You don't like my sauna take?
No, I
I
don't.
don't know what a sauna take is. so-
Are you the guy that walks in with your sweaty ass gym clothes and does push-ups in front of everybody when we're supposed to be like
Your take on this is that everyone should be naked in the sauna, but with a towel wrapped around.
Correct.
And that having your sweaty gym clothes on is less sanitary.
disgusting?
How is that less sanitary? You're literally naked, sweating all over the fucking wood.
It's disgusting. Those are your dirty ass gym clothes that you just spend an hour running and moving in, and you're gonna sit on this like beautiful wood.
I
and
only
sweat
go in the
your balls
sauna
on them.
after a workout in my sweaty ass
You're
gym
literally
clothes.
sweating on it,
Disgusting.
naked. Like,
Join
what's
us
the
in the
difference?
live channel for the sidebar.
Wait,
on
wait,
that.
wait. Do you
No.
do you
Join us in the
shower?
live
Wait, do you
channel.
shower before you go in the sauna? After
I
the gym?
rinse. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you guys just walk into the sauna full
But
of
do
sweaty
you
clothes
not
and don't
sweat in the sauna?
Of course you do. But at least that's
All
like,
over the wood, right?
Of course. Well, there's a towel.
That's what I'm talking
There's
about.
a towel. I don't.
What about your
sit-
back?
What do you mean?
You like don't put your back on anything?
dude, that's not the point.
Oh my god, this just makes
It
no
feels,
logical
it feels
sense.
like there's something worse about gym sweat than the sweat that
By the
organically
way,
happens in the
you're
sauna, though.
Swedish.
There
You're
makes-
50% Swedish.
This makes no sense
no,
to me.
what makes no sense is as a 50% Swede, you are
Swedes
This is-
are highly logical, and this is breaking every logical
absolute-
fallacy
this is
in my brain.
Absolute, like you're so over
I
the
do
line
feel
with
like
your
there's
own
no way
culture.
I would go to a
They would
sauna in
slap you.
Jorgenborg or whatever city you have, and there'd be people in like
with your shoes on.
yeah,
Your
gym clothes.
disgusting shoes and your gym clothes that you just sweat your sweaty balls into, and then you get in the gym and the sauna. Dude, it's disgusting. People, okay, let's get back on track, please. There's no etiquette across certain things in America because the beauty of America is that we have an incredible melting pot of people. Right? And with that comes an array of cultures and backgrounds, and each of those comes with their own what's normal. Okay? So what happens with sauna culture is you have a potpourri. You've got the Russian, the black guy, the Persian guy, the white guy, the half Swedish guy in denial of his own culture, committing blasphemy, who come into the sauna with very different. One guy's working out with his headphones on. The other guy's trying to be Swedish. The other guy's trying to be American. You know, no one knows what to do.
Right.
Now you come into the airport culture. And in most cultures around the world, when someone's visiting them, it is a huge like honor. And it's like you're excited for that person to visit you. And this is where I think we agree and you understand, which is like you want to go out of your way. And as the person visiting, like you're basically 99% sure this person is going to pick you up because you're there to spend time with them. And so it's like the way other cultures view the airport thing is that's just more time with you. I get to come to the airport, see you, pick you up, get excited to see you, give you the hug at the airport, invite you to my city. And from that moment on, you're in my hands and I get to show you around town. That's the way other people view it. In America, what we have is a culture that is self-reliant, like you described. You beautifully are exhibiting and sort of like highlighting the American culture. Self-reliance. I can click 3 buttons and meet you at your house. But then what you do is you remove the human connection. That's what other people like.
I will say, when I was visiting Bosnia, in Banja Luka, Bosnia, we flew into Zagreb, Croatia, which is like a 2.5 hour drive. And they insisted. They drove 2.5 hours to pick us up at the airport in Croatia.
That's what I'm talking about.
And it was like, I was like, wow, this sweet man. We work with him. He's one of the people we work with, developers. And yeah, we enjoyed the 2.5 hour car ride together.
And just to edify Armand on the sauna thing, so like I've gone to an onsen in Japan where like it's customary to be fully naked, no towel.
Yeah.
And I'm just walking around, fucking shrimp dick hanging out, and just like everyone is just minding their own business, and that's cool. But in American culture, it's not like that. So I think, like you eloquently described, we just have this culture where like people kind of do whatever. But I do agree with you that there are things that are over the line. Like I don't want somebody like invading my space in the sauna. I don't want somebody like doing weird shit in there, like doing push-ups right next to me or something. Like which you would actually even be fine. But like I just like kind of keep to yourself. Don't be too loud. Don't play a bunch of music when everyone's trying to kind of relax. You know,
right.
More of those types of etiquette. But like if you're wearing a shirt versus not, it's not going to really bother me too much.
What bothers me is the shoes.
Okay.
Because the sauna needs to be clean. So, yeah.
It's very weird that I feel like I really agree with Armand on this topic.
You should hop in the
You don't
sauna
bro.
channel, dude.
You know, you're right. I'm an impartial observer because I wouldn't consider myself to be a part of active sauna culture. But I feel like if I were to take part in sauna culture or to create sauna culture, it would not be a culture in which people roll in with their sweaty ass gym clothes.
You should try it
and do push-ups.
It's good.
No, I'm not doing that.
The place where most saunas are is literally 7 steps away from the gym. But anyway,
It's
I
inside
digress.
my gym. I mean,
Same. All right. So,
Edmund's etiquette is fully naked, one leg up on the seat, talking to the guy in front of me.
but eyes up, eyes up. All right. I want to hit another one of these things that was in the group chat. There was a Claudia Gay resignation, and then there was boyfriend refuses to marry girlfriend due to finances. I'm going to go the Robert Frost route. The road less traveled.
Okay.
So,
Which one is
Jimmy,
that?
if you could pull up,
I like that.
pull up the boyfriend refuses to.
Oh yeah.
So this is I'll read this out too. So this is a post in Reddit. My boyfriend, male 29, refuses to marry me, female 27, due to the gap in our finances. Some context: my boyfriend makes a massive amount more than me pre-tax. He makes twice as much monthly salary every day. So recently, I brought up getting married, and he said that he doesn't want to ever get married to me. That's because that's a shitty financial decision to enter into a legal contract with someone who gets paid for breaking it. He brought up the fact that I still have almost $100,000 in student loans that he would get half off if we divorced. I suggested a prenup so that he would have some sort of reassurance, but he told me those get thrown out all the time and said that if marriage was something I was looking for, I should either find another guy or get into the same financial situation as him. Whoa.
Wow.
I'm going to read from my drink. You guys...
Damn, this guy's making bank. He
Yeah.
makes twice her monthly salary every day.
Twice her monthly salary every day.
So he's just dropping like 300K
So it's
a
a
month,
lot.
maybe.
Prenups get thrown out all the time?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Particularly in like
Why?
In certain states.
That feels
They're
like a
state by
California
state.
thing for sure.
In California, they basically don't exist, I think.
What?
There's like a lot of rules, and even if you do sign one, there's a lot of rules you have to follow post prenup. Like,
So there's some states, like he mentions, where they're like rigidly followed.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's like a state legislature
Any
thing.
idea of the? It's just gray.
No, it's
like-
black and white, but per state.
But like in California, for example, is it? It's like if you break a certain sub rule, like then
like
you've lost.
for
all the
example, in
rights
like
that you
setting up
previously-
a prenup, both sides have to have attorneys,
Mm-hmm.
and it has to be enough time before you actually get married to show that there was no undue pressure during
Duress.
it. You have to disclose both parties have to disclose all of their
But
assets.
these are all prenup. Why does a prenup get thrown out after approval?
after the fact because some of
Yeah.
these things pre-prenup weren't done correctly. Like if you didn't disclose 100% of your assets in your accounts after the prenup, they get thrown out for reasons like you commingled what is called like your funds and community funds. And if you break any of those rules at any time, they could get thrown out. And it seems like in California, what ends up happening is there's like a judge with 100 cases in the backlog. They see so many per day, and they don't care about the prenup, the idiosyncrasies of your relationship. They go, okay, divorce settlement. I apply the same formula. Next, I apply the same formula. I apply the formula, and
Got it.
yeah. So anyway, that's what I've
I don't know.
summarized.
I mean, like, on the one hand, like, of course, like from a logical perspective, what he's saying, I empathize, I sympathize. I don't empathize, but like, how does Jeff Bezos feel? Like, people do this on bigger scales. Like, it happens, you know. And like,
Jeff Bezos lost a lot of money.
yeah.
Probably the most ever.
What is it,
Most
like
ever.
100 bill?
So like,
Probably
I don't
wasn't
know.
thrilled about it.
No,
Probably not.
I guess his point is like, I don't need to get married to be with you.
I don't know if that's his point.
Well,
The most ridiculous thing is like the last, like what's the last sentence? He said, if marriage is something I was looking for, I should either find another guy or get in the same financial situation as him. ... So how should I proceed?
yeah.
What do you mean? How should you proceed?
like, well, I can't 30x my my monthly income at any point. I've had
I mean,
friends
it sounds
who
like her choice is to not get married to him and
He's
be with
telling
him,
her to
or-
like kick rocks. She's like, what do I do? Should I try to make $30,000 a day?
I mean, I've had friends who shortly before they get married find out their significant other has, say, like credit card debt or college debt or, you know, some other kind of debt. And it's like, whoa, what? You didn't tell me this. Like, I'm responsible for that. We're going to share credit scores at some point, and you want to buy a house. And I think like the hiding of the debt would be kind of a pause. But at some point, I don't know, you kind of have to kick financials aside and just do your best in a prenup if it's that big of a
I
deal.
mean, like everybody that's listening to this is gonna
Right.
like want to be like, well, you know, in an ideal world, you marry for love. You don't even have to worry about the money and all this stuff. But it's like in reality, the money matters too. And I feel like this is like an example of where like you show me the incentives, I show you the outcomes. The incentives here are flawed. We have this legal construct that gets thrown out the window all the time. Like we should probably apply the legal construct appropriately such that this guy would feel comfortable marrying her with a prenup.
yeah, speaking of Jeff Bezos, he talks about how he makes decisions at Amazon and the irreversible decisions that can wipe you out. He takes very thoughtfully, carefully, with much decision and consideration. And the other ones that are you can walk back and forth, you can make them at high velocity. And this is one of those decisions like where you could consider a wipeout. You know, depends on, you know, either the male or the female, whoever has most of the money. And, you know, in your journey across life, if you want to compound, you don't want a 100% wipeout situation. Even if the law says half, not always, you know, your 100% of your net worth isn't always liquid. So half could mean all of your liquid net worth and stuck with, I don't know, a house and heirlooms that you have to split up at some point. Just like trading your whole account on leverage. You don't want to do that because you don't want to blow up. Rule number 1. So I don't know. You're smirking at me. I want to know what's in your mind.
I was just like, do we have to just bring back like the dowry? Right? Like I feel like the problem here, I think, is like a lot of men perceive they don't get anything out of marriage. I feel like in the old days, like we were trying to make marriage like not transactional now, but I feel like in the old days it was just a transaction. Like you'd marry my daughter, and if she was like, yeah, she's not a bit of a looker, I'm gonna throw in like a couple sheep and a goat, and then we'd like call it a day, and not necessarily.
and that plot of land,
This
sir.
is gonna be misinterpreted.
Yep.
I had a point there.
But my my concern was coming from someone who identifies as like a provider. Like I think that is like my number one identity is like whether it's with immediate family members, siblings, parents. So like I think that's in a traditional role that's your job is to provide, but at the same time you don't want to set up situations in your life where you have a complete wipeout scenario. So I get him. He's probably being a little irrational here.
I wonder if we could find the data on like what percentage of these get thrown out. I'd be very curious.
Yeah, we should look up that.
I bet you it's a very high percentage of instances where people don't have a super high powered lawyer writing it, and the other party is like extremely motivated.
You need a litigator to write it, not like a contract lawyer. You need someone who's like in divorce court, fighting these out. Actually, Lex Friedman interviews a guy who is a divorce attorney, and he has amazing advice on just love in relationships because he's seen the worst. And I don't remember his name, but if you look up Lex Friedman, divorce lawyer, some of the best things about how to keep a relationship active, healthy, alive, vibrant, because he's seen all the worst.
Through the eyes of an attorney.
Yeah, and you would think it would be the most pessimistic
Right.
thing, and he does. He's obviously biased, and he admits his bias, but yeah, he gets some.
You get some good alpha in there.
Yeah, I think so. So I highly recommend reading it. Okay, so let's get into our main course here. We got some predictions that I said I hope you don't look up in a year. We went back to 2023 predictions, and we kind of just went all over the map. And so this time we're going to put them in a few categories. So we're going to do money, politics, a little culture, and some technology. Particularly, we're going to rely on Armand's AI predictions. But let's do some money ones first, and let's maybe divide them up into crypto, and then we'll talk stocks and macro. So we appointed Steven crypto predictions.
Crypto predictions.
Yeah, hit us with them and be right.
Yeah. Don't fuck this up for me.
I hate this because it's just going to be a thing I look back on a year from now and like think of how dumb I am.
But you also changed your mind, so we should mention that.
My predictions from last year were so bad, like insanely bad, insanely wrong. I think I was very bearish coming into the year, which is annoying because I was bullish like a month prior and then I flip flopped. But then I like reflip flopped. So
you're one of those that
cool.
has high convictions, loosely held, I believe.
I also sometimes realize like when I've developed like a instinct for when I'm being middle curve, I think, and I'm like, wait a minute, I need to fade myself, which is like a thing. So, but now I'm in an awkward spot because I was thinking about this, right? Like what's going to happen next year, and I feel like you get to a point where it's like you evolve to the point where you're like, wait a minute. Am I being middle curve, or am I now so far along the sort of Dunning-Kruger that I'm actually out of the valley of despair and I actually know what I'm talking about, but I don't realize it yet. And now I'm fading myself when I actually have a good prediction. I don't know. That's a long rant, but
Get to the predictions.
Yeah, give us the meat. Serve it up, sir.
you guys are all on your phone. Nobody's been talking to me.
Oh, we are all on our phone. We're talking to the chat.
I'm just sitting here like
You bored me with the preamble.
He didn't tell me which coins are going to go up.
I think next year is going to be a lot harder than people think. I think there's going to be a significant rally in the dollar at some point, maybe early in the year.
Nice.
And I think that's going to be kind of painful for stonks and crypto. And I don't see a lot of people talking about that right now. Everybody's very much got their bull hat on. I have been thinking that the ETF is going to be kind of a sell the news thing for a few weeks now. I know Eric and I have talked about this a lot. I've sort of been of the mindset that like people bought a lot of stuff. Like Coinbase is way up, MicroStrategy is way up. Coinbase and MicroStrategy, or MicroStrategy specifically, is like up way more than Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin miners are up. So there's like all these like sort of five vehicles that people have already dumped money into that have already risen quite substantially. And I was worried about, the beginning of the year being like a profit taking thing where people are pushing off taxes, and maybe that's why we dumped today. I don't know. Does that continue? Maybe. Like I don't think like the flows are going to come in day one, and like maybe this is me being middle curve, but I don't get the sort of like buy the rumor, buy the news thing. Like this thing's going to go live and people are going to be like, yes, the thing we all knew was going to happen happened. So let's all buy hand over fist. So I like a little iffy on that. I think all in all that means that crypto goes a lot lower than people think it goes next year, but I also think it ultimately goes like higher than people think it will. I think it's like going to be like a really hard and super swingy year, and I think people maybe get shaken out of positions. I'm definitely seeing a lot of people who like clearly have never been through a bull market, like liquidation event or like a drawdown, and some people learned today. I think Arbitrum destroys Solana next year.
Whoa, I like
That's
this
a good one.
Spicy.
But I also think Ethereum does underperform
Underperform what?
people's expectations.
Okay.
Who are Ethereum people.
So like layer 2s accrue a lot of the value going towards the EVM style investment.
Yeah, like I kind of think there's a ETF pump eventually at some point in ETH, and everybody's like, yeah, it's finally happening. But like it pumps a bunch, and then
Volume is disgustingly low, and people,
I think CryptoPunks end up being a kind of disappointing asset. I'm actually considering selling mine. Maybe gonna wait till it's like a capital
Next
gains
year
thing.
or generally?
Well, I think the next cycle is sort of next year, year after. Maybe I'm trying not to think like 20 years.
You can't go that
out.
far out. Just go like end of 25 kind of.
Yeah, I think NFTs on Ethereum in general kind of disappoint. This is actually making me question my I have like a decent blur bag, which I thought was going to be like a really good narrative coming into the cycle. I don't know if that plays out, and I think NFTs are so sort of new and novel that none of these things like have as much Lindy as we think that they do, and a lot of it is just sort of Ethereans who were the last group of people getting this sort of like gigantic endowment, right? Because they invested in Ethereum and they made like a huge ton of money. So like what they're going to just go, invest in JPEGs that are on Ethereum. But if Ethereum kind of underperforms and you get something like Solana I think will do super, super well. And I think that, Santi, the VC guys is probably like relatively correct on Solana. And if Solana does super, super well and people make a ton of fucking money, I don't think those people are going to turn around and take all that money and just come to Ethereum and buy CryptoPunks. I think Solana NFTs probably are like they probably just like super, super rip. Like you can look at some of the value, like it's interesting to look at the value of like Grails on Solana, like relative to like the market cap of Solana, and then look at like the value of like some Grail stuff on Ethereum relative to ETH. Like we had stuff on Ethereum like in the millions last cycle, whereas like a lot of like the primo Solana stuff right now is like 10K.
Yeah. Right.
So if Solana rips to like $1,000, like some of these NFTs get like 20 or 30x or something super, super stupid. I think ETH NFTs could be okay, but like I don't know if it's a thing I actually want to bet a lot on. I kind of think there are better bets. And I think another thing I have, I'll just throw that out, and then you guys can say whatever you want. I think people are still like wildly underallocated to the AI crypto thesis. And this is something I think I heard Mike Ippolito talking about this as well. But like you guys know I've been on the render train for a while. Mm-hmm. I think the AI coin is such an easy narrative for the normie to wrap their head around. It's a narrative that makes sense. And like whether or not these things actually do anything, whether or not like I'm sure Armand would tell me that like render is not going to be useful for people like running out GPUs or whatever. But it almost like doesn't, we know it like doesn't matter. The narrative matters. What normies can wrap their head around matters. They get AI more than they get crypto. And, you know, a lot of them like want to invest in AI, but they look at NVIDIA and it's up like 10 billion, jillion %. But they could be like, oh, I can invest in like Fetch AI coin. It's got AI in the name and it's only like 600 million. So, okay. I think we'll see a lot of that. How does that sound?
Well, can I ask a question about your first comment about Ethereum disappointing? What does that mean?
So ETH 10K.
Give
the people what they want.
I'll be shocked if ETH hits 10K next year.
Shocked as in you don't think it may?
Next year?
Possible.
No. I hope this is one of the things I'm very wrong about.
The chat is in shock.
Be great.
They're just silent. They're just sitting there like,
I'd be
wait,
so
what?
shocked. I'd be so shocked with that.
Well, speaking from a person who just checked his spreadsheet and 60% of his crypto net worth is in ETH, should I plan to make some changes?
I think 60% is way too much.
Or does it have the
Yeah.
right risk return profile? Like if it doesn't have like a 10x, that's fine. But am I still going to go through the massive volatility?
No, I think it's going to be like kind of like a stable coin. I think it's just going to do what Bitcoin did last cycle. I don't think that's that much of a controversial take. I think we're still kind of early in the ETH roadmap, but I also just sort of think these fundamental things don't matter that much over the next year, just in the same way that like the merge supply shock, you know, this is something I think I got right like a year ago where I was like, this literally doesn't matter at all. And it's not going to matter mathematically speaking for years. And that was like pretty close to a top in ETH BTC. And, you know, even last January, I was like, kind of like, yeah, don't get excited about ETH BTC here. Most of the reason I invest in ETH and Bitcoin is because like I want exposure to crypto, but I don't want to like take all the downside volatility. And I, you know, so that's why I do it. But I think now that the cycle is sort of on, I think if you get like a sort of ETH ETF rotation and things are like really, really on, it's probably a good move to like rotate a lot of, you know, that into. I like the idea of keeping like a heavier cash bag now, but then having like a lot more sort of high beta. And I think if you want to be exposed to ETH, like what are the things that's going to be good about ETH this cycle? It's going to be L2 stuff. So just buy like Optimism and buy Arbitrum and buy stuff that is sort of related to the L2 narrative, because it just feels like L1 is just going to kind of just keep getting hate this cycle. And again, like ETH is a few $1,000s. The normies want to buy a coin that's like $1.90. It's stupid, but that's just kind of how it is.
All right. You guys have any questions, or else I was going to take questions from the chat?
No, I think you did a great job of delivering some good thoughts.
Well, those are bold. I would say those aren't like regular the road predictions.
There's nothing that I can really ask about because I just feel like you gave some good strong predictions.
I want to be clear too that I think crypto in general is going to like wildly overperform what people think over the next couple of years. Like I think alts are going to just rip.
Okay.
I think there's a good chance like Bitcoin like rips like very hard, and there's going to be some narratives we don't think about that are going to rip really. The other thing I forgot to mention about the ETH NFTs is like I kind of feel like ETH is caught in between the NFT narratives like on Bitcoin and like Solana. Like Bitcoin NFTs are better in a certain sense in that like you can't really like spam the Bitcoin blockchain with NFT. Like you're gonna put them all on chain. They're so freaking expensive to make.
He's caught in between for all narratives. I mean, that's where it is right now.
Yeah, it's objectively like a tricky situation right now.
Yeah.
But like I think the NFTs are good because they really exemplify that. Like you want like a absolute, you know, just rock of an NFT. And like it's kind of like better on Bitcoin for a lot of reasons. Bitcoin's been doing more transaction fees than ETH lately, so that like narrative is slipping a little bit.
Did see that too.
You know, so it's I don't think you'd want to just like abandon ship and dump everything, but like when data is not matching your thesis, like you have to maybe just change allocations at the very least, and not it's so risky to have everything in one bucket and you get like an Uber pump but like your thing didn't pump. And if you had just diversified like a little bit, you would have done a lot better.
All right, let's take a few questions in the chat, and then we'll move on. But Calcium asks, so will Sol be the ETH of last cycle price wise? So ETH last cycle went from a low of $80 to a high of like 4,800. I think Sol's bottom was around $9. So maybe the equivalent of that is something like 600 to 1,000.
Yeah, I think Solana goes over 1,000 this cycle. I don't want to say for sure, but like I think it does. I think Solana has outs to do like 2,000 this cycle. I think this cycle is just a continuation of like a thing that happened in COVID. Right? I just think like we are in a whole money printing paradigm, and we just had like a pullback. Like we minted like $6-7 trillion. I think like assets are going to go way up. For fiscal reasons, for political reasons, the Fed is on our side. Like really all of these things are aligned. I just think people need to get rinsed a little bit first. And I think like the dollar is telling you there might be something weird out there. So
Edmund says Nick literally selling ETH on his phone.
No, but so like if that's the case, I mean, why? I mean, Steven, are you like in terms of your long bag allocation, like are you more in ETH or more in Sol?
I'm more in ETH, but the reason I'm more in ETH is because I was in it more at the beginning because I was worried about downside risk. By the time like the narrative took traction, like I aped a bunch of Sol at like $80. I was like, nah. And I market bought a lot, and it went up like 50% in like 3 days. It was ridiculous. But like at that point, when ETFs rolling around, January's coming, if I think the market is going to be risk off, if I think the ETH narrative is going to take hold, I've seen this a lot. It's not the time to like jump ship when everybody is like peak euphoric on Twitter, right? Like literally, I made a tweet like the day before Christmas or something. I was like saying like, yo, all you Sol people, you're literally just top signaling at the equal highs of like the Sol ETH ratio.
But you're talking in a shorter time frame of like 3 months right now, is what I'm reading.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a
And
really
beyond
good
that,
time.
you're talking about Sol winning.
No, I think Sol, like by the end of the other prediction I have for this cycle is that Sol ultimately like crashes and burns in spectacular fashion. There's going to be either like a technical hiccup or there's going to be a realization
What about
at some point.
liquidation from like all these VCs?
That's an overhang. The main problem I see with Sol is it's not like economically viable. Like
Right.
it's a fucking meme coin. I've been saying this forever. It's literally a meme
So
coin.
you're on like a 1.5 trade, not like a forever bet.
Yeah, like it's a huge question mark. Like, does the Sol token, like, is the Sol token worth anything, or is it like a glorified TCP/IP? Like, why is the token worth anything if gas is free? It's just worth something because people hold it because it has like mimetic value. Like, you don't actually need it to do. You don't need a whole lot of it to do anything. Like, you can have one Sol in your wallet.
short-term
and last
winner
you
of
for-
this cycle, but long-term, I agree with you for
And-
sure.
Yeah.
Let the record show that Armand has made 2 financial moves that he's publicly said in the podcast, and he's 2 for 2. He bought Coinbase at $55, and you were the only one who said buy Sol.
He was not the only one who said the buy
He might have
Sol.
said it before you did. Okay.
I have another podcast. You can look it up.
All right.
Oh, you might have got it from me then.
Yeah.
I
sure that's
partially
what
said that
happened.
just to light up Steven.
Sure, that's what happened.
Nice, dude.
Okay,
Nice.
so
Welcome to
Is anything
Responsibly Short.
outside of ETH or BTC long-term trade? Literally everything is a meme coin. Yeah, Edmund, I think most everything is a meme coin, and stuff that isn't a meme coin like Maker doesn't do that well because like it's like the Russ Hanneman skit from Silicon Valley. It was like,
pre-revenue.
yeah. He's like, oh, we're gonna show profit. He's like, don't you fucking dare.
just to clarify the win, because I don't know if I did on that episode. I took a good amount of the ETH I had and converted that to Sol. At the time, it was $20.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
That's a big win, my
So-
friend.
No, it was big, and it was at what 120 the other day. It's down to like I don't know 90 something. But
Guys just
Yeah.
like
if we're talking about
You're poor now.
2,000,
You're poor now.
If we're talking about $2,000 Sol, like
Paper hand it.
it's gonna be good.
Don't paper hand it.
all right,
baby.
let's shift over to Stonk's macro.
Okay.
Give us a feel. This is probably one of the tougher ones, man.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking is either like I'm in 2 minds: continuation or mean reversion. Okay, continuation means like what worked continues to work. Okay, so what worked was like tech, Mag 7, Magnificent 7, or is it a mean reversion play where like the stuff that was lagging now catches up? I sort of agree with Steven on the crypto side, because like while we're at all-time highs or near all-time highs on the NASDAQ and S&P, like the total crypto market cap still remains about 50% below its all-time high. So I believe that crypto has a long runway to just continue to moon. But within stonks, particularly, like, you look at the Magnificent Seven, that has an aggregate PE ratio of 55 right now. Amazon trading at 80 times earnings. Like, there's not much room for that stuff to continue running other than stupid price gets stupider. Like, they're so big that the earnings can't grow into that multiple, because these are not like the unicorns of yesteryear. They're not growing at 100% year over year. NVIDIA is the only exclusion. NVIDIA is. But like Google grew 11% revenue
Facebook
year
20,
over year.
25%.
Right. So like they can't grow into the multiples that they're facing. So my question, like, I'm a believer that exactly what Steven said is that we have this environment that the money was printed. Like we created all this liquidity and it sort of was sidelined for a while. I think prices go higher, but where does it flow to in stockland? I'm sort of this opinion that, the laggards catch up. So talking small cap, talking value. I was telling Nick and Carne Asada Chris offline right before this that, oh God, the Russell 1000 growth index, which is the top 1000 growth stocks, is trading at an over 30 times multiple, and the Russell 1000 value index is trading below a 15 times multiple. And like a lot of those companies, like on the growth side, like are not that good. Like they're just not that good. So when like maybe you can agree that, maybe we can all agree that multiples continue rising just because there's so much money out there that flows back in. But to what degree can we continue buying insane valuations? I don't really know. And for me, like I'm a believer in this bull run. I'm a believer in pump continuation, but like I don't see it on the Magnificent Seven. And like through November, like if you just take the year through November, like eliminate November, December was like this epic run that we all participated in. But like through November, the S&P was like flat outside of the Magnificent Seven.
Why does that matter though? Like, why does that matter?
Well,
who cares?
I mean, like, because most people have their, I would imagine that most of our listeners, most of everybody on earth has more of their money in the S&P 500 than in crypto. So like, that's why it matters.
But S&P still did well last year, right?
Yeah, based on the Magnificent Seven.
But who cares?
But
Like
it's
S&P did very, very well, right?
It's 50%, 52% cap weighted to the Magnificent Seven.
But why? But I guess what I'm saying is like I hear people saying this, but I don't have a good reason for why I should care. Like if I'm invested in the S&P 500 and 499 stocks lose money, but one of them like solves like world hunger, invents time travel, and like creates like the Star Trek replicator machine that makes like infinite everything. Like, do I care if like everything lost money, but the one thing tripled everything?
Well, let me give you an actual prediction. My prediction is that in the first quarter of the year, we get this dramatic scare where people think like, first of all, Fed cuts aren't coming as soon as we thought they were. I think like March comes and we don't cut. I think like we get this fear that recession is real. I think like in sort of like the front half of Q1 particularly, which you and I talked about irresponsibly long, and we've like hedged for it. Like we talked about how the shit that was pumping probably gonna get hit pretty hard, and sure enough, like in the first 3 trading days, it's down like 20% across the board.
Everything that was up a lot got sold off, like Coinbase.
Yeah,
sold
Coinbase,
off. Everything that was
miners.
up bigly last year got
Yeah, and like I'm not ready to buy those in yet. Like I want to like let that dust settle.
What do you think S&P hits next year?
I think it's up. I do think it's up.
Do you have a number?
No, but I think it's up, and I think it's like, I think it's just going to be a tumultuous ride, but at some point we're going to see a blow off, like an actual bull market that surprises people.
Yeah. I think we hit 6,000.
That's higher than what I'm predicting, but like I wouldn't be surprised to see that. But like on the back of what? Because I don't see Amazon going to 120 times earnings.
Okay,
or
so
something.
I have a theory on this that I've kind of mentioned a few times, which is that like people are doing these multiples and these discount rates on the basis of this is going to get a little wonky, but on the basis of like the 10-year treasury, whereas the reality is like there's this other risk-free rate in the market that's reflected by mortgage rates. And if you actually discount stuff by that rate, like if you subscribe to that belief, then stocks can be perceived as like kind of cheap actually. And I think there's one of the macro predictions I have for next year is that like bond yields go way up again, and people panic and stocks sell off. But then I think stocks go up, and with yields high, stocks keep going up and keep going up, and then suddenly there's this collective realization that the market's sort of model on rates and the risk-free rates, what should be happening with stocks is actually not correct. And like we're in this like kind of different paradigm with like just this kind of like semi-permanently higher sort of like gross GDP, and like basically like there's this simultaneous like earnings kind of go up while also like the market realizes the multiples are off, and that's how you get this kind of like blow off move.
I like this. Have you ever heard of the Shiller PE? Shiller, I think his name's Robert Shiller. He's this guy who does this like cyclically adjusted PE. It's like they call it the CAPE, the CAPE PE.
I have seen that.
Okay, so he uses like a 10-year average of PEs instead of just like your standard PE ratio. And to your point, I think he's dead wrong because this environment is different than the previous. Like the money that's sloshing around, like the liquidity is just much higher. So like PE ratio should go higher as more money sloshing around.
Yeah.
And like he is a guy who says like, well, against the CAPE PE from 10 years ago, stocks are so expensive. It's like, well, they should be. They should be. And like, inflation's always happening. So like on a nominal basis, stocks should be more expensive in dollar terms.
So can I ask you, in that scenario, is inflation a little higher than 2%, where bond yields are higher and stocks still do well after like an initial scare off?
I think inflation like goes down and like rebounds a bit. I think it spooks people a little bit. I don't know that inflation is going to get like super carried away. Like I could see us being in this like 3% paradigm just forever now. And like we're just adjusting to this new world where there's like insane growth, but there's also high inflation, and like we have actual interest rates, and like there's just like a whole bunch of stuff people don't think about. I think ultimately like prices just go up and then people just reinvent. That's why this, like we saw that last year where people were like, oh, the yield curve's inverted and the Fed's hiking and don't fight the Fed and all this stuff. And then none of that happened. And then people were like, oh, well, it turns out that everybody's like borrowing at like 3% and has it locked in. And all the corporations borrowed at 3% and had it locked in. And then everybody was actually just earning 5.5% on the short end and paying a long. So everybody, like, this is what happens with predictions. Like people like think they have the picture figured out, but there's actually just one puzzle piece. Nobody sees it. And it's only obvious in hindsight.
So that's interesting, because like I wrote in my investing journal, when I kind of like make good decisions or bad decisions, I kind of write them down, kind of free flow it. And one of the things I mentioned to put in there was like more signal in positioning. And there's only like a few positioning things you can take from. But what I noticed from this Bank of America survey is that we are 2 standard deviations above the normal long position in bonds. And so,
really?
Yes,
Oh
we
my
are.
God.
We are max long bonds. So everyone's playing either recession or soft landing, where rates are going to come down. And there's whole investors out there who literally their whole thesis is whatever max pain is what will happen. And so you could see that happen where bond yields rise, maybe inflation ticks up. We have a few hot prints, and the yields rise and people freak out and have to unravel this like massively long bond position.
So I think I agree with that. Like that we get like a much higher high on the indices, but then what that creates is just like a spring in the other direction ultimately. So like we're making like 1 year predictions, but like, somebody in our Discord, I think it was after an irresponsibly long, was like, well, what about the debt? What about like all these like long-term macro factors that like will ultimately rear its ugly head? And I'm like, yes, it will. I'm a believer that like we're gonna see higher highs and more dramatic pullbacks going forward because like it's just getting more dramatic.
Can I mention another thing I mentioned in that journal because it relates to your point? I also wrote, don't predict the predictors. I think I got this from Darius Dale, and he mentioned don't try to predict unemployment rate, don't try to predict inflation, don't try to predict interest rates. Just wait till those show up, and then make your decisions about what the data actually shows you, because you can put yourself in these probabilities where you're probably mostly wrong by trying to predict these predictors. Instead, wait for the data point to come in. You're not going to like sell the Pico top and buy the super bottom. You never were in the first place. You might be behind the 8 ball, a little trend following kind of, but at least if you can wait till those moments, you have to be mostly fully invested. But if you can wait till those moments where some of those predictors actually happen, then you can make some risk management decisions.
I don't like Darius was also of the mindset that like people had this idea that they were just going to wait for everything to blow up and then the Fed was going to come in and clean everything up and then you just buy the bottom and get rich. And it turned out, shockingly, it was not that easy.
Right.
And that didn't really happen. So markets surprise people. I got one more weird prediction in macro. I don't know if it's weird. It's actually not that weird. And then we can kind of maybe move on to tech or something.
Cool.
But I think I've been saying this for a bit, but I'll reiterate. Like I think housing like rips next year, like absolutely face melts.
I agree, and I have one more myself.
That's terrible.
I have one more myself, which is like, I think that we've talked about decoupling from like all of these like risk assets, like beta. I think you just want to be exposed to beta broadly. So whether that be real estate, crypto, stocks, I think everything goes higher. I don't think that crypto decouples as like a high beta risk asset at all. I think crypto continues this trend. As I talk about my continuation versus mean reversion, I think crypto just maintains its position as like a high beta risk asset.
Yeah, I agree.
And then just because we've mentioned a few times on little mailbox money episodes where we've done multifamily, probably good this next year is when I'm looking to buy in. There's going to be more max pain this year, and I think the good general partners, the good operators are going to clean up all these other operators' mess. There's like some really large holders of multifamily debt who are currently underwater, and a lot of this debt matures in 2024, some in 2025. But I think you start to see the turnaround hopefully this year, but you don't have like a super rush to get in. It's just over the next 12 to 18 months. Like if you see these opportunities, if you see these deals pass by look good, it's probably a good time to start.
Yeah, I'm just talking about mostly sort of like single family resi, like the stuff Armand wants to buy and he just audibly groaned over. But you probably have like an interesting perspective on multifamily.
They're totally separate.
And commercial is like a totally different thing, which I'm not talking about. But I think unfortunately there's going to be like a lot of Armands next year. There's a lot of people who've been sitting around being like, housing's expensive, everything's going to crash, I'm going to sit and wait to buy. But then as rates tick down, people start realizing like, oh, well, I can get into a mortgage now and I can get this like refi option all the way down and get in the door. And if I'm the first one in the door, then everybody's going to like push prices up as rates go down. And I'm going to get to refi the whole way down and kind of collect that ARB basically. But then like once there's this collective realization of that and people realize that like, oh, it's not going down and supply is still like horrible.
Right,
like
because at the same time, even if rates are starting to go down,
change.
they're already at like 6 point.
Supply is fucked right now from everything I've seen.
Exactly,
Like,
and
there's
they're
Based
already-
on what you described, it'll maintain.
Mortgage rates are already in the 6s, so people have started that thought process, potential buyers, but sellers aren't going to sell when rates are 6 or 5 or maybe even 4. I don't know.
No, it'll be a 2027 problem.
Yeah.
Rectum said housing will never be affordable again.
That just means you need to like sell a company or win the lottery.
Bro,
buy
we're
a
just
house
gonna
in the
like
future.
there are countries with 100-year mortgages. That's just I think like the future here.
You just
Or-
got long renters, guys. Come on.
Or we
let's
get the
get on board.
politicians making programs for first-time home buyers, or you get a 1%
That's gonna
rate
come.
or something.
That is
and
gonna come.
That's also
The what
going to
now?
pump all of the. They're going to have like these. Eventually, people are going to get upset, and then populists are going to take office, and they're going to be like, 1% mortgage rate for first-time home buyers, and people are going to be like, yeah, but what's that going to do? That's basically more money printing. And then assets go up. The
Well,
people who own the houses get richer. They buy more stocks.
Then a longer term mortgage is a better option than that.
Than what? The government subsidizing your mortgage?
Yes,
I don't know. Government giving you free money is pretty good if you can collect it.
it's good for you.
Yeah.
It's not good
If you take
for
them up on it.
having a country, and
No, I didn't say it was good
50
for having a
years.
country.
Yeah.
I just said it was good for our prices.
it is good for price.
By the
Yeah.
way, they're not going to
Which is
finance
a-
your jumbo mortgage, sir, even though if you're a first-time home buyer.
They will in California. There's 50 million people who don't have a house under like 8 million here pretty soon.
Okay. You guys want to get to
I want to talk
politics?
about
Yeah,
what wars you see coming
right,
or
all right.
expanding.
Can we go do the election year first? Because I think this one's
Yeah.
a pretty easy one in my
Yeah,
mind.
let's do some election
Okay,
stuff.
so,
I want to
so
talk about
this is a presidential election year, and for me, this is a year when all the politicians jack up my online advertising rates.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate election years. All these like
bad.
big PACs and big political spenders just start spending everywhere that I'm just trying to sell good old fashioned products, and they
My
just
good old fashioned widgets.
and they just pump up the costs. Okay, so I don't think it's any surprise we're looking at two options of getting a kick to the teeth or a punch in the nose. Trump is currently the favorite. He's plus 140 betting odds. Biden's plus 230. I think Trump's going to win with 271 electoral votes. That is exactly one more
Glad the data finally agrees with me.
than is needed. So
I think he's gonna just crush.
He could, but I think the Democrats are going to pull some bags out of the hat.
Is there
shenanigans.
still
Yeah, shenanigans.
time for Gavin to sub in?
No, I think
over?
it's too late. Like
Did you
if-
hedge that
'Cause
bet?
I remember we
No,
talked about this.
it's
We
just,
said
That's a good bet.
we said like January, February was like the deadline.
So
Yeah.
we've got
We're already in election season, so just so you know,
so we're
I
doing
think
the weekend at
we
Bernie's
got the
thing.
two devils
in 2
facing
weeks
off.
the first Republican primary vote happens.
Can I just say how sad I am for the American people?
I agree. Kick to the teeth or a punch to the
Fucking
nose.
Biden and Trump.
It's happening again.
Like,
turd sandwich or
what are you talking about?
Douche-
Like, how
douche and
can
turd
this
sandwich?
be? How can this be?
Tale as old as time.
Oh, jeez.
All
We're
right,
doing the douche and turd sandwich thing, and that was the 2008 election.
How
Here we
is
are.
this happening again?
So
Anyway.
Republican primary, if you remember, we started in 2023 and it was DeSantis and Trump. And it was like a fairly reasonable, like close enough thing where like DeSantis could pull it out. But spring of 2023, first indictment on Trump happens. And then just you look at the charts and just Trump runs away with it. And we're continuing the same actions. He's been pulled away from Colorado. There'll probably be more criminal actions. And I don't think the people trying to take him down will realize they're actually pulling him up. So he's the shoe-in for the Republican nomination. And in 2 weeks, we have Iowa in January 15th and New Hampshire in January 23rd. So if you're going to see any of these people like have any type of a chance, it's going to happen in those first two states. But he's going to take the nomination. Let's talk about the Democratic primary because it's been the Democratic National Committee has shoved down any potential actual primary. But let's look at the stats. So 2023, Biden started at a 46% approval rating and a 50% disapproval, which is not necessarily great. But now he's at a 40% approval and a 50% disapproval. That's worse than Trump, Obama, W, Clinton, and HW. Worse than all of those previous
the guy
presidents.
who invaded Iraq. Huh?
Exactly. So he is not in a great position. He has some of the worst poll numbers ever heading into an election year. At the beginning of the year, Biden was up 2 points. Now Trump is up 2 points. Biggest concerns from the electorate, 74% of people say that age and fitness of Biden is a concern. So
Obviously.
3/4,
Look at him.
It's a valid concern.
yeah, 62% say Trump's criminal record is a thing.
I think that's like the least.
Yeah.
It's like the least problem.
Now, here's what comes in. There's these third-party candidates that are actually getting serious poll numbers. So all of third-party candidates, if you look at all the polls, are just shy of 20%, which can definitely shape the polls and the actual election. So I think Joe Manchin is on the sidelines now. By the way, he caucuses with the Democrats. He's from West Virginia. He's pulled out of re-election for the Senate, and it's rumored that he is eyeing a potential run. He's looking at RFK's numbers, be like, wow, he's polling pretty fucking good. Maybe I'll throw my hat in the ring. And if you do that, then these third-party candidates can ruffle feathers on both sides.
RFK or Vivek, sorry, I don't know anything about this stuff. Like, just goes, oh, I'm going third party, like last minute.
So RFK is third party.
He is third
He's
party.
fully
I thought
independent.
he was running as.
No, because
he's independent.
the Democrats said we will not hold the primary.
Did that change at some point? Because I thought he was running as.
Just like I think like 2-3 months ago.
Yeah, it was like a few months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, this is very recent. He's going to run as an independent.
Yeah.
And I think Vivek is interviewing for Trump's VP. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up his VP.
I could see that.
I mean, you just watch him on debates and what he says.
He's totally.
I don't think he's Trump's VP.
He may not be, but I think
pretty
he's certainly
strongly he
interviewing
won't
for
be.
it. As
I think he's just trying to be like a senator or just play the long game and run in like 8 years or something.
Jimmy, text me what we got. So, okay, here's the deal with these third-party candidates, though, is like early on in the polls, what tends to happen is that people protest in these polls. So right now, some of the polls show RFK as high as 22%. What I think is actually going to happen, he's going to actually get less than 10% of the votes. And I actually think he's going to help Biden more than Trump, why I think it'll be a little closer than you think.
Wait, you're saying RFK is going to actually hurt Trump a little bit?
No, I think he is because Trump voters
which is interesting.
Are more likely to like RFK than Biden voters are.
Yeah, the overlap is on the Trump side.
But you also got like Cornel West in the race too, right? Like, and he's pulling only from
right. So he kind of may cancel out the
he probably
damage.
will. But Manchin, it's interesting how much power Manchin has. Like, he could just blow up the whole election just by himself.
What about Newsom in this mix?
Newsom
He said he's done.
I think he's done because like he's got to start getting what it takes to run an election is literally a ground game. Like people in every single state, and granted, he could certainly take over Biden's like sheer organization of people and take over. But I just don't think it's going to happen right now. He's got to get fundraising.
Sorry to throw you for. Do you have any black swan events in your predictions here? Potentially something about Biden not doing it.
Biden dies by February.
I don't want to say something like that. But
I'll say it.
All right.
I didn't want to say.
No,
that.
I don't have anything like that.
Probably shouldn't have said
but I
that.
think
Please
it's going to be
don't
close.
come to my house, Secret Service.
I think he's going to win by like 5-6 electoral votes. He's going to have 271.
Why do you think it's going to be close? Trump is winning every single battleground state, like literally
None
every
of this
single
shit
one.
matters before the election.
He is, but
Remember the last one?
if you look at
Yeah, the
polls,
last one, Trump was like drawing dead.
but if you look at polls at
just
the beginning of the
changes.
year and even these approval ratings, they don't have a really high predictor of like what's actually going to happen.
don't.
And so right now, Joe Biden's pitch is, I am the anti-Trump. You need to save democracy, vote for me, which is terrible, right? That's a terrible pitch. He actually has to stand up for his own record for the last 4 years. He's not just running against the incumbent saying, let's change. But you can already start to see it. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but in the last 4 weeks, there was some marijuana usage pardons. And just today, I believe, the DEA announced or wrote a memo basically saying they're thinking about moving marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 drug. So this is clearly pointed at young voters who boosted Biden to becoming president, and also black voters and even Latino voters. They came out to vote and put Biden over the top. And in this election, they're not going to come out to vote, and they're not going to vote for him. So you're going to see these ploys like pardoning marijuana offenders, which actually only happens in federal cases in DC. It's actually not everyone. And potentially, you know, rescheduling marijuana. So he's going to try to do some things that will probably pull people along. And if they're smart, they'll focus on the abortion issue more than anything. Like if there's anything that can, you know, pull Democrats together and actually pull some people across, I think it's them focusing on the abortion issue. But
Doesn't work against Trump
no,
because he's like, I don't care, whatever.
I think he'll actually soften because he kind of accomplished
course
what he
he
needed
will.
to.
Yeah.
He'll soften up on it and
He's
be like,
just like-
yeah, it's actually working out as planned. The states are deciding what to do, and we're
Also doesn't hold any like actual positions. He just kind of moves to.
Yeah, was he a
whatever
Democrat at one point? Like,
he was. Yeah, he's a big financer of the
All
Democratic
right. So
Party.
what are you predicting?
Another Celebrity
so you-
Apprentice host as president
So
season 2.
you predict Trump in a by the hair of his chinny chin chin.
Republicans take the Senate. Democrats keep the House.
So crypto survives. Then?
Crypto survives,
Okay,
at least in the
that's-
Senate.
The House that the Senate's big, yeah.
But another thing in geopolitics is this year is actually one of the largest years in national elections as a whole. So something like 50% of the world's population is voting for a new national leader this year.
Interesting.
So obviously the U.S. Some notables are India, Russia. Wonder who's going to win that one.
Wow. yeah. It's gonna be a
vote,
real
huh?
nail biter.
Yeah. Bhutan is also voting.
yeah,
Belarus, Iran is voting for a new leader. But the most
It's the
significant,
same thing.
Yeah.
Later.
voting.
Yeah.
but the
Air
most
quotes.
significant one is actually Taiwan. In about a week, they're going to have their presidential elections, and the current reigning party is the Democratic Progressive Party, and there's a new person taking over as the kind of leader of that party, and he's running, and he is leading by just a few percentage points in the poll, and he's the one who's like, we are focused on defense against China, mostly aligned with like the U.S. And the other two candidates are more about, no, let's start negotiating. Let's start developing some more diplomatic ties. Let's de-escalate and maybe warmer ties. And one of the parties, the second major party, he's just a few percentage points in the poll. And I think maybe that election is maybe is probably the most important out of all the others. But it's just kind of thinking about that. Over 50% of the population of the globe is going to be voting for their new leader. So we could see a lot of,
Year.
we could see a lot of shifts in just how humans decide to be led. Are we going to shift more populist? Are we going to see some uprisings like South Africa's voting and the same party has been in power for the last like 25 years and that could change. So there will be a lot of turmoil, I think, in other countries. I don't know if it necessarily affect like our economy necessarily. In terms of like, black swans.
Wars. Give me some wars.
I don't know if you're going to see a second
really?
front
No
in
conflicts?
Israel. I don't think you're going to see them fight Hezbollah. I mean,
No expansion.
yeah, I mean, we were going to mention
Are your shipping containers safe in the Red Sea?
luckily I don't go through the Red Sea, but they increase costs.
Idiot.
But
I go through the Persian Gulf, bro.
But it is going to increase costs. It is going to slow down. It's going to show again how vulnerable the supply chain is. And I think this year is really where world trade starts to degrade even further. So the Red Sea is one thing, but also there's a lot of technology and industries out of China that are just not going to be allowed to be distributed throughout the world, which normally would be the case. So EV technology, I forget what BYD is the main
today.
Yeah, so they're going to try to expand across the world, and I don't think Europe.
They just built more cars than Tesla for the first time.
Right, and America is going to allow it. Semiconductors, AI, quantum computing, clean tech, like those technologies are not going to allow to be distributed in a world where we're used to, where the U.S. kind of patrols the seas and allows everything to kind of flow. You're going to see less world
so you're
trade.
a Zionist, not Zion, but Zion.
Yeah,
Peter Zion.
yeah. Actually, I think
you take.
I think he's right over the next few
Yeah,
years.
you think so?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I don't think you're going to see.
I think he is too.
I mean, we've had some crazy stuff happening. I was going to joke that if Claudine Gray needs a job, that Hamas has a open leadership
Oh,
position
God.
recently. But yeah, we're seeing some crazy stuff happening. But I don't think it's going to spiral out of control. Like, people know that
Interesting.
at any point in time, the U.S. can park a carrier out there, and things
So
are
it's
going
like
to come
it's
down.
there. It's like I have my weapon, but I am choosing to not use it mentality.
Yeah, and Ukraine will just
and
be
everyone will respect it.
more of the same this year. Another stalemate, another grind, another
God.
third year.
It's terrible.
And
Terrible.
yeah. So anyway, those are the takes for the election. And
Well, I kind of hope you're right.
Good one, sir.
Sounds like a relatively peaceful year if you're right. So
it's not going to feel peaceful.
No,
that's for
but
sure.
I think the markets will be tumultuous as we just previously reviewed, but from a geopolitics perspective, if 50% of the world is voting and nothing crazy happens, I think that's a good thing.
This is supposed to be like the decade of tumult.
Tumult.
But, like,
the decade of tumult.
Yeah.
I think where you actually see it impact, like, inflation in goods and the way we operate is just trade doesn't happen. And if Trump does get elected, he's going to double down on some of these trade war type mechanisms, and it's not great. You see people nearshoring more in the U.S. I think Mexico is a big winner. A lot of people, their natural reaction is to shift more towards those other Asian countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, but those countries are even moving closer to China. So I don't know if that necessarily helps the issue. But
Damn, you just reminded me. I wonder how the Mexican peso.
Yeah, you were by those pesos?
Yeah.
Or?
I know I should have bought.
we got all hyped up on that, and I never thought about it again. Is it up?
Well, we tried to.
I
trade in
couldn't
the
do it.
Schwab
I couldn't
account.
do it in Interactive Brokers. So
It's just hard to buy Mexican things, huh? Like I tried to I looked into buying real estate
couldn't tell
down
if
there.
that
It's
was a
like,
joke or if I was
No,
supposed to take that
no,
literally.
I wanted the bonds in local currency, but I couldn't buy them on Interactive Brokers because I was buying the U.S. dollar denominated
yeah.
Mexican bonds, but and those are only yielding 5%. But the peso denominated Mexican bonds were yielding 12%, and I wanted a
Okay,
piece
so
of that.
60
I did
cents
want to
to
pose
the
this
dollar.
question for you. Let's say we do believe Trump
Six, I mean.
Trump is going to get elected. What is the best way to make money off it if we did? The lowest IQ version, I was like, well, you buy the Trump NFTs, but I don't know if that's the way to go.
Trump NFTs to 1 ETH.
Steven's a
prediction.
bag holder.
You just said not to buy ETH based NFTs.
Trump NFTs definitely outperform ETH.
God.
Like, I don't know if defense stocks
Book
do
it.
as
Stamp
well.
it.
If Biden gets elected, just long defense stocks, I think.
Either way.
Yeah, maybe either way.
Either way.
Trump NFTs could be
Trump's
good.
probably very bearish defense stocks, right?
Right, because I mean, at least in his 4-year, tenure, we didn't necessarily start a few wars or get into any conflicts or start shifting people
Still make a bunch of UAVs and shit.
yeah.
When you say UAV, I just have COD flashbacks. UAV down.
But I don't know, something I want to think about because I do think he'll win, and we've done this before where we're like, yeah, this seems like it's going to happen, and we didn't ask the question how to make money off it. So hopefully we can continue on it.
We
all
ask
right.
the questions we often don't take
Just
full
laughing at
action.
tons.
Yeah. So let's shift to Armand, and I'll give you a few options here. Would you have any culture predictions, or do you have any AI tech related predictions you want to go over?
Culture predictions. I feel like I'll start with the tech.
You
and-
can predict anything you want, brother.
Oh yeah? I
Yeah.
get full.
Yeah, you want to predict the lottery number tomorrow? Go for it.
Okay. Nostradamus style.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, I don't know if we switched the.
We switch the
It's
camera.
probably fine. I'll check it.
Yeah. But I'm just checking a technical thing here.
I know you're good.
Oh, thank you, Steven.
The camera's already on him.
All right. So if I was going to really predict one thing, I'm going to look at the camera for this one, actually.
Oh,
In 2024, from a tech perspective, I predict full-blown, personalized sex robots.
Wait,
And I
really?
think you guys think I'm kidding.
No, I do
no,
think
I
you're
don't
kidding.
think you are.
I think he's
at all,
kidding.
actually.
The thing is, you won't have a full blown physical specimen to your customized
like a
liking.
digital like avatar.
But I think that like one of the fascinating things will be generative AI is going to go to a level that people cannot even begin to predict will impact their personal lives. And one of the first places that will show up is sex. And I know you think I'm just like playing a shtick here.
No, it always moves first.
But I'm not.
porn.
No, we
It's
did a great episode on
really-
this without you.
I know.
I wish you were there the whole time. I feel like it's going to be one of our most prophetic episodes in retrospect.
I was very, very much envious of participating in that conversation, and I couldn't agree more with a lot of things that were said. I really feel like generative AI is going to advance to a level that impacts most people. So we're just going to move along the adoption curve. You know, we've been in an early adopter phase, and we've been dealing with a technology that is moving exponentially faster in terms of adoption than everything else that has ever come before it. Even like the iPhone was like the thing that was adopted faster than anything before this, or like certain social media platforms, right? But like AI, in terms of its use case, I think it's like 200 million weekly active users or monthly active users on ChatGPT. It's something ridiculous. But at the same time, that's actually a small number when you consider like the total number of people online and the total number of people that on the planet, 8 billion people. So as more people get access to internet and as more people realize the power of generative AI, the first thing they're going to do when people get online is do the most complex, sort of comfortable from a user experience thing that they can, which is to interact with AI. And so generating content for yourself from an AI perspective that's like sex related is going to be huge. Yes.
Can we have a discussion about this? Like, I didn't want to interrupt the monologue.
No.
Okay, so the discussion question I had is like, you can't fuck a large language model. So like, what like?
It's an astute observation. Thank
So
you.
like,
Well,
in
a lot
what?
of people do have.
So like, how do you do this? How
A
do you
lot of
like?
people do have.
Porn's pretty popular.
Well, how do you How do you like
a
materialize?
lot of people sexed, and that's huge. We talked about that
Okay.
before, right?
Yeah.
Like just being able to sext is huge.
Right. Didn't Karen AI
Karen
create
AI,
a $1
that's
million
what it was.
business on this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're talking about the generative aspect of like, where's the part where I actually see the thing or do the thing?
Yeah. Is it a wearable? Is it like a, how do you?
Yeah, I still don't know enough about VR to be like bullish or bearish on it. Honestly, I just don't have a strong opinion on VR and AR. It's just not my domain. But like, I would imagine that like some of it makes it to that level. But already what you're seeing is like, there are like ads pulling you into like trying to get weird with AI right now, like on Pornhub. Discovered that recently after I recently
accidentally just opened up just
Those damn
Old
scammers.
gamers.
just
Fuck
click
them.
the link in
I
a
have to
rogue
say.
email.
And what you find is like you're already going to start to see that like in your regular everyday like 2D or /3D like versions of porn or whatever. But what comes soon after, and what's I think more interesting, I mentioned the porn thing not to be like provocative, but to be like really honest about where I think the majority of usage will occur, but that people are unwilling and uncomfortable to talk about. So like that's the real prediction. But beyond that, the part that people will talk about and will discuss and will be open about will be the way that generative AI impacts their daily lives. So currently, you're able to perform like one function really well. You can do a piece of research, or you can ask it to write something for you, or you can ask it to like build you a table with a few different types of like data, or to like take a bunch of data and like extrapolate like new data, or to like synthesize what's important from that data. But what's going to come next is like deep outcomes, like autonomous agents is what we call, what they call them in AI. And so these autonomous agents are able to perform multiple functions and multiple steps, one after another after another. So it's not just like find me, to make it really simple as an example, travel. It's not just like find me the cheapest flight. Find me the cheapest flight, book me the itinerary, lay out the entire itinerary, schedule everything, buy the flights, like do everything that is humanly possible on your own. And what I also think you find as a byproduct of autonomous agents that can perform at the level of humans is like you start to see by the end of this year the first indicators of artificial general intelligence, AGI. AGI meaning like this is not just like multimodal AI, but something that is akin to like a human brain that can perform real research and create new novel information, new physics, new music, new art that like you never personally would have, well, not that you never would have, but just that an AI created ultimately. And like AGI, the real measurement of AGI, and of course there's different people that define that differently, but it's like if AGI or AI, any level of like super intelligence is like creating new information. Like when you go and you get a PhD, the whole point of the PhD is you can't just synthesize a bunch of information. With your PhD, you're supposed to pioneer something new. You're supposed to discover something new. You're supposed to do real work that, like, if you imagine a circle, you're piercing the veil of that circle and you're expanding the realm of knowledge within, let's say, a certain type of a subsector of like science that you're very involved in, right? And you're going far beyond that, and you're saying like, I've pioneered something new. And if AI can do that, which I predict that it will get to that point, or at least show indicators of that point by the end of this year, then I think we're like living in a new world for sure.
Selfish question. Have you been following any of these customer service AIs where someone calls customer service and instead of getting a human, they get what sounds like a human, but it's actually an AI and it can actually handle 98%. Am I going to be able to switch my customer service staff to a service, an AI service?
I think you will. I think you will by the end of next year. This year, we're already in it. I really think that from an application perspective for small businesses, SaaS and the application layer of AI is going to blow us away. I really do think that. And I think that those applications will mostly serve the enterprise layer of businesses, the mid-market layer like you and small businesses, and will be able to provide like benefits that are mind-blowing. But I also think like the everyday person will start to really feel it more than they've ever felt before. That's like a simple way to like, thank you for bringing it to that, is like a simple way to bring it home where everyone to some degree will be able to experience it, whether it's for travel, whether it's for their knowledge, sort of like, you know, their knowledge base, their personal, like their Notion will be like very AI powered, or within their business will have some function, whether it be marketing, sales, customer service, will be fully or mostly powered by AI.
Can I give my breakout AI star of 2024?
Yeah. No, actually, I changed my mind.
Waymo.
Waymo.
You guys know Waymo?
That's the
Waymo.
Uber competitor
It's
in China, or
No, Waymo is a Google-owned self-driving car company.
okay.
So currently,
Have they run anybody over yet?
No.
That's
In
good.
Phoenix and San Francisco, you can hail, like an Uber, a Waymo, with a fully driverless car. It picks you up.
Like right now, it's live.
Right now in Phoenix and
It's
in
been
San
live for
Francisco.
years.
Been years
They've been
for
at
years.
it for a long time.
And Cruise was the other competitor, and they just went up in a fiery ball of flames. CEO
Oh,
quit.
because they ran somebody over.
They ran someone
Okay.
over, backed up over them, and then they realized that, maybe most of this AI driving was partially human assisted.
Wait,
But
what?
yeah. Anyway, now
Gnarly
Waymo is the
scam.
leader, so they may go to LA or Austin next. They've been particularly slow in rolling out cities, only in 2 cities. But if they get to LA and Austin, I think people may be like more accustomed to, and I think they're further along than Tesla in full self-driving. And we'll see what happens.
Okay, I like
but-
this prediction. I was going to throw something out too regarding AI. Like, it's like a pleb take. But my pleb take is that like these large language models seem more commoditized to me than differentiated. So I feel like a Google can easily implement an LLM into their search function, sort of like, defending their position in search. Like we had talked in the Discord, and we had talked on an episode where like their core business is fucked. I don't think their core business is fucked. I feel like they just implement AI.
I mean, if I look at my personal life and our business, if Google actually can implement a large language model across all their products and services, which they have most of our company data and most of my personal data, it'll actually be quickly more impactful than ChatGPT because they'll be able to leverage the data that's in all of my emails and my calendar and my Google Drive. And
Just kind of like Apple, the integration within the ecosystem is the key.
And speaking of that, I think AI is going to move to the edges. You know, there's these chips that now can, instead of having to go to the server and back to compute, they're going to be able to fit these decisions on the edge devices. So your iPhone, your Fitbit, whatever. I don't know if, you know, those kind of device cycles might take longer than a year, but it'll be fascinating when, you know, you don't have to make a server call to I don't know, generate an image or do any kind of AI type service.
Man, I want to see more AI in trading. Like if I could just talk to like an assistant that could just sort of read and understand charts in a way where you could have like a conversation with it, where it's just like, filter me stocks that are doing this and like this sort of patterns. But it's beyond like just basic like patterns, like a head and shit. Like there's something a little deeper to it. But if you could layer all that on, it would be like, it'd be incredible. It would be so good. I wonder if anybody's working on that right now. By the way, it sounds like Waymo is in Santa Monica.
Oh, wow. It's already in Santa Monica. Holy shit.
Look at that.
Okay.
It's happening.
Armand, do you have any other AI related or tech related ones you want
Yeah,
to go
just
over?
like in terms of like specific predictions.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a really big year for cybersecurity. So like the ability to predict and neutralize a lot of threats, which I think are only going to increase in general, given the day and age that we live in. And this will be really big for businesses of all types and sizes in tech. Generative AI in content creation was the long sort of like winded thing I was on before, where like entertainment, podcasts, videos, a lot of this will be generated by AI. People will become comfortable with it, and it will just like totally revolutionize a lot of content generation. It will not replace like this, obviously. A lot of the generative AI tools will enhance this in the post-production process. But what we'll become comfortable with is like, I'll be watching a clip of the Alfalfa podcast on YouTube, and then I'll swipe, and the next short that we'll play will be completely AI generated, which many of them are today, but we're uncomfortable with them because it's like a weird voice or the clip's not very good. And by the end of this year, it will be very good. And you'll be very comfortable with it.
You're saying we won't be replaced, but we were playing in our content planning meeting with Steno and interacting with the Alfalfa podcast inside of Steno, and we were asking it questions about what we had said in the past and what we think we should say. And I don't know, that was pretty fascinating. So
Yeah.
I hope you keep building that.
Well, definitely. And maybe I'll show it on a future episode when we can screen share and
That'd be
stuff
fun.
like that more. I also think we'll see, obviously, like AI ethics and regulation is going to be like at the forefront of conversation, lots of debates, lots of policies. This is more your wheelhouse, Nick. I'd actually be curious if you have any takes on like where you see that going. But I think like the main thing that I see after, we didn't really talk about it. You guys talked about it in one episode that I was gone, but like the fallout of like where everything lands after like Sam Altman and OpenAI and Greg Brockman and all of that is, I think what you have now, I'm completely making this up and it's my own estimation. I think that OpenAI is going to be stronger than ever. I think what you have is like a company that was tested to its core. And like when you get into that position where like your leader is taken away from you and then is brought back and starts to grab everything by the reins again and come into a new year. It all happened toward the end of the year. I think what you find with OpenAI is a very strong company now. like obviously there was a bloodbath and there was a lot going on, and it was literally like some sort of like Hollywood Bollywood freaking drama, right? Like something absurd.
Without the dancing.
Without the dancing. I don't know. Maybe there's a little dancing behind the scenes. But like, it's going to be a big year. And I don't think that, like, at the same time, on the other side of the spectrum, you see Amazon and Google in particular, and maybe some Chinese companies really stepping up on the competition side with like Google and Amazon's investment in Anthropic was huge, multiple billions of dollars last year. So Anthropic's like really in a great position to compete, and Google is in a great position to compete and feels the sense of urgency of being number 2. I still think at the end of this year, OpenAI maintains its position of being number 1. I also think like IPOs are on the rise, and like from a tech perspective, one thing I predict is like the IPOs to come back. Like it was the worst year ever for IPOs last year in terms of over the last cycle, over the last 10 to 15 years. It was a low point and a bottom. So I think that IPOs begin to revitalize. I think we see some things really start to go public again. OpenAI is like got its secondary situation of $90 billion or whatever. A lot of people are going to want to cash out on that. But OpenAI maintains its position of being number 1 only because Sam Altman's back, and everyone's going to be like really excited to defend what they believe in today. If they're there now, they want to be there.
Also, if their large language models can start doing actual math, like use actual mathematical reasoning rather than predictive reasoning for math, that is going to be fucking exciting.
So if Steven and my prediction are right, that we're going to get this like a blow off top in markets broadly, then you could easily see IPOs come back. And then that would be like the app layer of AI moving beyond like kind of like the protocol layer.
We haven't even scratched the surface of like AI blow off top,
right?
IPO mania. That might be many years out still.
Any more tech AI predictions before? I just want to touch on culture before we wrap up.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, I have a culture prediction.
Dump it.
I think I have one too. You go.
Taylor Swift saves humanity. So here's the thesis.
Hear me out.
The biggest threat to humanity
let him
is
cook.
Taylor
is
Swift.
Population decreasing.
No.
Okay?
It's Taylor Swift.
Okay. She may be a threat, but she will also be your savior. I think by the end of the year, she's going to be Prego. And
Wow, there's a prediction.
and she's going to kick off.
She's going to sort of influence young ladies to become pregnant because Taylor did.
Yep.
I really hope you just conceived of this on like a walk in your own brain. That would be so amazing.
She's going to kick off a mini baby boom. And maybe it's not till the end of the year. She's like, hey, by the way, I'm pregnant. And people are like, wait, being pregnant is cool? Like having children is being cool? Like being a good mother is cool?
Wait, is Taylor Swift the Shake It Off girl?
Hold on, what?
I don't know.
You don't know who Taylor Swift
I actually
is?
don't know any Taylor Swift songs off the top of my head.
He has to be trolling.
Yeah, that's a troll.
I love that song.
Okay, so I actually like this because my take was similar. That there's just like this move back to trad, like the pendulum swings back to trad as it already kind of has started to.
You guys are all trad guys?
I kind of have been an old school type guy forever.
She's going to be the torchbearer now, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Taylor goes trad.
Yeah.
Taylor goes trad.
So she's going to have a baby, and then
Not going to have a baby. Now she's pregnant.
and everyone's like, yeah, why not?
Right. Like,
Just,
you're right. That is why we should
I'm
have
going to get
children.
off fuck birth control.
Yeah.
They're all going to say that, huh?
This is
Yeah.
an interesting question. I wonder what the actual number of people who would be induced to have a baby if Taylor Swift.
She's going to be the greatest
Yeah.
affiliate marketer of baby
Billion.
products of all time. Like, she is going to
Oh
make
my god! If
so
she
much
launched her
money.
own like kind of baby product line,
Yeah.
It would be
She's going to put
fucking
Jessica Alba to
over.
shame.
Taylor Swift's gonna be the world's first trillionaire.
All right. What do you guys got
Hold
for
on.
culture
I
takes?
have a donation announcement.
Oh, we do.
Just so people know, the way that those are happening is they're going to alfalfapod.com. And Jimmy GPT, we'll tell you more about Jimmy GPT next time. Jimmy GPT is going to help us get those on the screen for you guys on the
We could
next
get those
episode.
on
We're
the
going to do some
screen.
really fun things. If you noticed, we're doing screen sharing. We got all kinds of things happening. So Ben Studley, what's up, Ben? donated $69.69
Attaboy, Benji.
Big spender.
to the new year, the best pod, and fellow San Diegans.
Oh, dude,
Thank
Ben,
you,
we
Ben.
gotta hang out on Wednesday nights.
Hold on, Ben. Just so you know, we're planning on doing some in real life meetups.
IRLs?
Here. Some IRLs in San Diego.
Alfalfa IRL.
Yeah, we want to.
we gotta embrace our community more.
Yeah, we want to like make this town know. Let them know.
Let them know.
Let them know that this
I
is
like
Alfalfa
that, Ben.
town.
You're invite number 1.
Yeah,
We'll see you at the event.
Ben's
Thank you,
in.
sir.
We
Salute to
appreciate
you.
you, man. That's very kind of you. Thank you. And best pod is high praise. I hope we can
and
fulfill that.
Can I
this
mention,
year.
just because I think Ben reminded me of this, but the Spotify showed us the data, and the number
yeah.
way we've grown is from text messages.
Yes.
People texting an episode to a friend, and that's where we've gotten the most subscribers on these podcast apps like Spotify. So thank you for all of you who shared episodes, and if you could do more of the same, because
Yeah, let's double down on that.
that's like the significant majority of how we've grown. And so
Let's be specific with our call to action.
yeah,
Text a favorite episode to a friend.
and it's fucking working.
There you go.
So
It is
yeah, we
working.
saw it in the data at the end of the year. Spotify gave us a rundown, and so yeah. Anyway,
Thank you,
mention that.
Ben. Appreciate you, man. And great to see you in the YouTube, in the chat.
There he is.
Great. All right, Armand, you got any culture things? I feel like you're like got some good ones in
I
there.
can't go after Taylor Swift repopulating
Saving humanity,
I know, that's pretty
repopulating the
fucking
earth.
rad.
Jeez. It's a tough act to follow.
No.
Eric, anything?
I think I want to kill an animal in 2024.
Oh, yeah. This
You
is
want to
different.
hunt?
Yeah, I want to hunt something.
Long time pretender,
Yeah.
first time hunter.
Yeah, I had this idea, this competing narrative inside of me that recognizes that being a carnivore is like innately a part of the human experience and like part of my nature, but also in the way in which I do that is fucking
Grotesquely
it's heinous. Like,
disconnected from the reality
Yeah.
of the situation.
Yeah, so I
we've
want-
had some phenomenal conversations about
So,
this.
yeah, like
you
I-
guys should participate sometime.
I want to get connected to the reality of eating meat and the vehicle by which I want to do that is like killing a thing and
Eating it.
He wants
butchering
to
it.
choke a beaver.
like butchering it and like preparing
So I
it.
have to be careful because there's like Ricky Gervais had this bit about like, do any dogs get hurt in this movie? Is like a website. And like people are very, very, very sensitive to
Damn.
animal violence. So I just want to preface
Well, he's not
that
going to
out
actually
there
do it anyway, so no worries.
to everybody.
yeah, it's pretty
that
aspirational.
like this is not happening, and if it were to happen, he would make sure to eat the animal. So please don't be upset about.
Wait,
any
there's a
animals being hurt.
registry of
Okay.
dog movie incidents?
I don't want to ruin this, but like the two stand-ups specials that you've got to watch that just recently came out are Ricky Gervais, Armageddon, and Dave Chappelle, The Dreamer. They both came out within a week of each other. They're phenomenal. I'm gonna go back to Eric here because I don't want to get off tangent.
Those
too
guys
far.
are always good.
Yeah, I don't want to get off
Count-
tangent, but like Ricky Gervais has a profoundly hilarious rant about it's like long and it's all about people and their sensitivities within this like modern day culture to like they don't care about people, they care about animals so much that they look up like did X, Y, and Z happen in this movie before I watch it. I just want to make sure that a chicken was not held incorrectly in okay, I'm going to give a little bit away. People look up like was an animal hurt in like Schindler's List.
yeah.
And like
I don't care about
they're
the-
watching
Yeah.
Schindler's List and like there are people being burned alive, but they're more concerned about like animals
Yes.
potentially being
This-
like mishandled.
This is the thing I've ranted about. I've
know.
like actually ranted about this.
I know.
Yeah, like a lot of like very lefty people, especially, they literally care about like humans are like 15th on their list of things they care about.
So true.
It's
yeah,
like
well,
dogs,
watch the special.
beavers,
Yeah.
trees. Like it's
Yep.
just like not even close. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a very weird phenomenon.
So what are we hunting?
So the idea, like, I think that's the idea is that we've like lost the idea or the even the semblance to think about the fact that like we go to the grocery store, we buy a chicken breast, but that was once a thing, and like I want to get closer to that thing. That's
how do you think, if you could, like, it may not happen, but what would your perfect way to accomplish this look like?
I mean, ideal world, it would be using a bow and arrow.
Ooh.
Compound?
Why not just like
Let the man
knife?
have a compound bow? No,
Well, he's asking my ideal. My ideal is because, like, I think even using a rifle is still an abstraction away from killing
Yes.
something.
I
Yes.
feel like the bow is still too detached. I
think
think
we
you
should
get
go-
right up in there.
Let's go spearfishing.
Well, I've done that.
Oh,
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm
How'd
a
that
fan.
feel?
I'm a fan. I'm decent. I
You
use
just became at least
spearfishing?
9% more attractive.
yeah. Yeah, that was a little, that was
My
kinda-
testosterone levels
Yeah,
recently just
Whenever
raised
I'm
a notch
around
to-
anybody who
My,
tells me they go spearfishing, my T levels drop by like 15%.
I think the hardest one, I've thought about this a lot. I think the hardest one would be like just doing a chicken. Like you grab a chicken
can't do
in
that.
your
I'm
hand.
not doing that.
You put him on the wood block and then
No
you
one should be eating
cleave his head off.
can't
Like
do that.
that's
and then you let it run around.
that's so much more gnarly than like shooting an elk, you know? So I feel like that's the one I really desire is like, I want to eat a chicken. I better get comfortable with that.
All right. Can I'd like to go along with that. If you actually do
Oh, you
it.
want to come with?
Yeah,
Or
I
you-
want to come with.
Cool. Fuck
Um,
yeah.
I'm going to file that into the category of things I definitely should do, but I won't.
I got another food related one. Brian Johnson will have young to middle-aged men chugging olive oil and eating nutty pudding as much as Huberman has got those same guys taking like magnesium before bed. I think this guy's going to become like one of the biggest selling olive oil companies in the world.
I'll buy
this-
whatever he's shilling, man. He's-
Hold on, is this the guy we talked about one time?
Yeah, he's
The plaid guy?
He's the White Walker.
Not the lead singer of AC/DC.
No, he's the former Braintree
Braintree,
CEO.
not
That makes more sense.
Spent millions of dollars optimizing his life in an N of one study.
He's reversing his age.
And I mean, God bless him. But just one comment: the thing that he does most is not get into and pulled down by all the criticism he receives online. Like if you want to see a model human being just push off criticism like that's personally attacking, he does it flawlessly.
How does he do it? Just
just
ignores?
little self-deprecating humor, general humor. I mean,
And just does his own thing. He's like,
just-
he's on his journey.
he's on his journey. Maybe two more. Thomas Sowell becomes the new Harvard president.
What?
Yeah.
That would
Hey, you want a former alum and someone who fits the DEI equivalence?
Definitely
he's there.
not happening,
All
but
right.
it would be
DEI.
awesome.
Last one's more of a survey. Do we get a Bitcoin ETF Super Bowl commercial? Yes or no?
Yes, 100%.
I believe yes.
ETF commercial like any broker.
97%.
I'm already seeing him on CNBC
If
right now.
ETF, then 100%.
Okay, so Super Bowl
So
commercial.
just so we're clear, the most interesting
there
man
any
in the
legal
world.
hurdle?
Do you guys know the Dos Equis most interesting man in the world?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
it.
so he's on CNBC
My
right
father.
now going, you
know
know
what's
what's the
really
most
interesting?
You know what's the most interesting?
Bitcoin.
Like that's happening right now.
Yeah.
Wait, you're not joking.
No,
On
no, the
CNBC
commercial's
right now.
real.
Oh.
So
Well,
then on Super Bowl, it's a certainty.
So I've seen these commercials. Some of these commercials are like bangers. Like they've I forgot who made it, but it was obviously aimed at own people, and they were like it was talking to them about like remember the television, remember the internet, remember the fax machine, and then it's just like basically like remember all those things you thought were stupid, but like now you feel dumb about it, and then like now it's Bitcoin's time.
I think they need to bring
that was a good- that
Larry
was
David
good.
back for
Dude, that was
Bitcoin.
the best. Like
Oh.
that he was just right in the end.
Yeah.
Nah,
All right.
not
Well,
buying it.
everyone, we know we went a little long, but I can see in the little data we have here that you guys are all sticking around. So
I had a great time.
I had a
just
great
want
time.
you all to know that.
New,
So-
New Year's episode. It's okay. It's a bit of a,
Hell of a
bit of a
time.
bonanza.
I didn't look at the clock. I don't know about you.
I can't believe it's this late.
All right, guys. Well, Happy New Year to you all. Thank you for again joining us live. If you're not, join us live Wednesdays at 5 p.m. PST. We'd love to have you in there. And otherwise, hit us up in the Discord. But until next week, we'll see you then. Love y'all. Bye-bye.
Adios.
Later.